championship has been captured by the Indiana Pacers.
Alex Pillow wins the 109th Indianapolis 500.
This is the Fan Morning Show with KB, JB, and Jeff.
Indeed it is. Tuesday morning. I almost feel like declaring this Victory Tuesday. We don't get to do this in the first week of a season very often. This just might be Victory Week, Kevin Bowen. Let's just keep it rolling.
Well, I know who it's not Victory Tuesday for.
Oh, you went there right off the bat on a Tuesday morning at 7 o'clock straight up.
Bold choice,
Kevin Bowen looked across the console.
Do you want to wait 10 minutes before we get into it? Do you remember what happened?
Buried the console and
one Tuesday ago. Do you remember? I think he had a special intro for Notre Dame losing to Miami. And if you went to bed anytime during that game, really before Cairo Santos missed that field goal, you woke up and said, how the hell did the Bears
no, you didn't.
lose?
If you know anything about the Bears,
If you
Mark,
watched
and
the
you know
Bears.
this,
Yeah.
I'm twisting the knife a little bit, but you know this. You're not wondering how.
J.J.
You're just
McCarthy
like,
looked dead.
yeah, you're convinced that the Bears do this. Every year they're the Bears.
And so, Mark, I'm thinking, this is how I'm picturing last night going. Caleb Williams starts the game off 10 for 10.
Nails
They're
look
up
great.
7-3. They've got the ball back. Mark
Nails
is
look
putting
great.
sunglasses on at home just like the old Jim McMahon. He's feeling it right there. And just slowly it starts to unwind in the third quarter, late in the third quarter, into the fourth. And he's a piling just gob of goo by the end of the night.
You hear that,
Interesting.
Mark? Gob
That's
of
quite
goo
the way to describe you.
is how he just
No,
described
he
your
just
franchise
melted
quarterback.
down into the corner. That's kind of how I saw it
I
happening
was just
last
watching
night.
the momentum slowly shift, and I'm like, here we go. Here we go. And sure enough, there it is. It happened again. And I'm like, the more things change, the more they stay the same. And like James said, if you're a Bears fan, you're just used to it at this point where you're like, I can't have good things. The vibes, no one can ruin good vibes like the Bears can in week one. And sure enough, they found a way because you're like, all right, we got the pick six. And it's almost like the pick six made the Vikings get better all of a sudden. They threw that pick six, and it's like the Bears should be on cruise control, and instead the Vikings were like, okay, now to start playing. And then the Bears just couldn't stop getting penalties, and Caleb Williams' accuracy downfield was concerning, and the running game wasn't that great, and you're 0-1, and yippee-ki-yay, here we go.
And I was going to wait till like 7:03. I was just going to continue the momentum of Colts fans and being in Indianapolis. But your good friend Kevin Bowen here to my left looked right across the console into your eyes and just chose violence.
That's okay.
Right into your eyes.
And I totally accept it because I would have done the same thing when and if Notre Dame loses on Saturday. He can expect a similar rejoinder on Monday.
How are you doing this morning, James boy?
Just think twice before hitting send to old Matty Bowen on the old text there, Mark Dykton.
He will not let that go.
Karma is a dangerous game.
Does karma
Oh, my
ever
goodness.
get its ultimate payback, or does it just continually flow
It's a dangerous
evermore?
game. Karma's a dangerous game.
Wow. So with that, good morning and happy Tuesday, everyone. We're off and running here in the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd, and the crumpled Mark Dykton this morning. You'll rebound by the end of the show, though,
goo,
right?
I believe is how he described Caleb Williams.
I was
that's-
wondering if we're with your kids or with
No,
the grown
because it
men.
just started to slowly melt like candle wax.
Gobble of goo.
Just melting down into that, whatever's left.
Shout
It's
out to
kinda how
Will
it works.
Fries. Shout out to Ryan Kelly. All the Colts are winning on opening weekend, right?
Yeah, so far.
Except
so
for
far,
Dio. He's on
Not
the
I was gonna
Bears.
say not Dio
No,
Adengbo.
not Dio had a couple moments, Mark.
Yeah,
He had a couple of penalties.
Yeah, he did.
Hands to the face.
You're not sore at all this morning, are you, Mark?
I think that's such a tough call for defensive linemen. There was a play on Sunday where DeForest Buckner, I think, got two in the head and was so nervous, looked right over at the ref thinking, oh, no, are you going to call that? I think that's one of the tougher penalties for defensive linemen. They're straining like none other, try to get the sack, and then all of a sudden they graze the helmet, and it's like, oh, there's 15 yards.
And don't think that if a guy's not winning his matchup, he might just kind of help those offensive linemen's arms up into his chin area and the face mask area. Don't you think, James?
Well, I'm talking about defensive linemen hitting
That's
quarterbacks.
well, but either way, I've seen defensive linemen that'll force hands to the face on an offensive lineman sometimes too. I've seen that happen. So
Apologize for hijacking the first 2 minutes of the show.
No, that's fine. That's where we're at. That's where we're at because what it means is the NFL is back, and we're all watching record-setting numbers over the first weekend with all the different ways to watch, whether it's Amazon, whether it's YouTube, whether it's Peacock, NBC, ESPN. the numbers are going crazy right now. So people love the NFL. People are fine. If the NFL built Fox Network. People will find the National Football League. If your team's on, people are going to go pay for that service. They're going to find it. It's just what they do.
And, we got Packers-Commanders, Week 2 here, Thursday night football, couple of Monday night games here in Week 2, and the Colts and Broncos. That's a sneaky little 4 o'clocker now. Kevin Harlan and company, Trenton Green, Melanie Collins on the call here. Again, 4 o'clock, so the Colts not living in the 1 o'clock Sunday time slot endlessly here this season like they did last year, and we'll start to shift gears here to Week 2.
I'll ask you guys real quick, and we'll go into detail coming up in the check down. But anything we need to know about from camp yesterday as far as lingering soreness, injuries, stuff like that?
Mooney Ward in concussion protocol, so the Javarius Ward, he did go in the blue tent, I think in the second quarter, if I remember correctly. Finished the game, went back in the game, developed some concussion-like symptoms yesterday, so start that process. I think at this point we're kind of used to concussion protocol is to each their own, and typically guys don't make it through in a week. We'll have to see exactly how that goes for him, and cornerback depth will be tested, James, because we saw Jalen Jones also suffer a hamstring injury to the same hamstring he missed multiple weeks in camp with. So corner depth could be tested in Week 2, although I don't think this opponent will stress you too much in that area.
I think they might just a little bit, just because they still have Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton and others. But
I'm not a big Bo Nix guy.
He's very up and down. Last year was his rookie season, and obviously I watched a lot of their games. Towards the end of the season, he started playing really well. Didn't play well at all in Week 1, and really Sean Payton's looking for kind of the same thing that Shane Steichen is looking for. Just stay on schedule. Make the right read. Stay on schedule. He's not afraid to go downfield, but he doesn't make the right read all the time.
We'll see. You take advantage of your opponent's deficiencies. So if they're down a couple cornerbacks, you're probably going to put the other ones to the test. So this is when, again, the Xavier Howard signing looks huge now, considering the injuries you already have to the cornerback room. And then you'll see who that next person could be up. I believe Mekhi Blackman got in there a few times. Kevin, could he be the other cornerback if you're going to go Mekhi Blackman, Xavier Howard, and possibly, obviously Kenny Moore in the slot?
And we'll see about Jonathan Edwards, the undrafted free agent out of Indiana State, Tulane, where he ended his collegiate career. He was inactive on Sunday, but you would think he could very well make his NFL debut. So,
yes.
Corner depth, corner injury-wise will be a storyline here coming up in Week 2.
All right, and we're going to talk, if you missed it yesterday, we had a conversation with Kenny Moore II, and we will let you hear that conversation for the folks in the 7 o'clock hour that are on their way to work and have to get things done after that. We will let you eavesdrop on that coming up a little bit after 7:30, so we've got that going on. And later on at 9 o'clock today, Pat Boyan is going to stop by Mark Dykton, talk to us a little bit about the Fever, getting ready for the playoffs, and no Caitlin Clark, and they've had 5 season-ending injuries. Think about that for essentially a 12-person roster, Kevin. 5 season-ending injuries. Like that's just devastating to any team. The fact that they've made the playoffs is almost unreal.
Yeah, it's really a remarkable story that the Fever have been able to put it together. Kelsey Mitchell, I think, deserves tons and tons of praise for her just individual workload that she's produced. I believe set a franchise or a WNBA record for most double-digit scoring games in a single season. And Stephanie White, for kind of the mash unit that she seemingly has to deal with night in, night out. So it sounds like tonight it'll be a little bit of a scaled-back Minnesota Lynx roster. I saw Nafisa Collier not going to play in this game, and the Fever will happily take the rest into the playoffs as they figure out exactly where they'll slot in on the road for round 1.
And James Boyd, the one thing that has kept this Fever team going, and credit to the build in the offseason, despite all the injuries, they still have 3 of their starting 5. When you look at Howard, Boston, and Mitchell, they could start on any team in the league, either of those 3.
Yeah, the players you just named, 2 of them, when it comes to Mitchell and Boston, they're stars. They're all-stars, perennial all-stars. So, yeah, that's not a surprise at all. And we'll see, again, the season finale, regular season finale is tonight against the Lynx, and then we'll see how all the playoff standings shake out. Again, the Fever can't fall any further than the 7th seed at this point. So we'll see if anything changes there. But remarkable season for them despite all of the injuries.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll have our first check down of the day. We've got Kenny Moore II. We'll replay that interview. If you missed it in the 9 o'clock hour yesterday, we'll do it just after 7:30.
Can I let Mark simmer on one in the break?
I knew this was coming. I was trying to get there, and I knew I could see it.
Well, I was wrong on that Bears score. I'm now looking at quarterbacks for the next year's draft to see who the Bears will pick.
Calm down.
With the third pick. Chicago's where quarterbacks go to die. Ben Johnson didn't draft him, so he's going to want a new quarterback.
Are there concerns? Yes. Am I throwing in the towel when he's in his first week of his third new offense in 3 years? No. Yes, the accuracy needs to get better on the deep ball, but let's pump the brakes a little bit.
There is nothing that will test a fan more than your week one reaction to your team. Nothing will test a fan
That's
more
true.
than your good or bad. How do you react to your team in week one? Mark, good luck today.
Thank you. Yes. I felt like you against, Notre Dame a few weeks ago, and I'm like, okay, been there, done that. You can't hurt me anymore. I've been hurt too many times.
Oh, that was last Tuesday. I remember it quite well. Nice little Labor Day Tuesday. And as soon as you played all that audio, I thought to myself, Monday night against the Vikings.
Mark the Bears fan. He's like
You
Eeyore.
might regret this one.
He's just forever got his head slumped down walking into work every day.
I'm embracing. I like to be optimistic. I'm also bracing for the worst. And the
Nice
worst was
national
yesterday.
anthem from Jim Cornelison.
He killed
Always.
it as usual.
Always. He doesn't
Pomp and
miss.
circumstance looked great. You had the 85 Bears in the building, and then the Bears just went down their leg in front of national TV, as they tend to do on an annual basis.
You want to throw us
James
to
knows.
break?
I do know.
All right.
Karma. It's a dangerous game.
We'll continue in a moment. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. The fireworks are starting early.
on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Man, the shots continue to fly here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Did you get a message during the break there, Mark, from somebody, a listener out there?
Oh, no, it was the guy in our YouTube chat, KB, which is fitting.
Kevin?
He said, no, it's not Kevin's burner, but he said, no one holds a grudge like a scorned Notre Dame fan, just like Jesus taught. I thought that was very funny.
Wow.
Dear Lord. Hey,
Wow.
You want to mail me the Bible so I can read it before every show here? Sounds like Mark's burner after that opening segment.
Kevin Bowen is a jerk. Signed me.
Gosh, being grouped into like all Notre Dame fans is such a pathetic thing for me. Oh, I hate Notre Dame fans. They stink.
I mean, are you talking about yourself?
You know what I mean.
Self-loathing.
Nah, I don't know what you mean.
I feel like we were having a therapy session this morning.
Wow.
No, once you're in it, you're in. This is initiation.
We
Blood
might
in,
need-
blood out.
We might need 24 hours to go over all my therapy fandom sessions. Happy
All right.
birthday to Max Bowen, by the way.
Hey, happy birthday to Max.
3 years
I
old
like
today.
that. He's good to go. I like that. Still love those videos. You think we're good for the whole year on those videos?
Some said he sacrificed his pick so the Colts could finally win in Week 1.
That works for me. All right, on to Week 1 of the National Football League. All games have been played last night. The Minnesota Vikings rallied late behind I can't say rookie, but first-year starter J.J. McCarthy, who missed all of his rookie season with a knee injury. The Minnesota Vikings on the road came back to beat the Bears 27-24, a game that started off so promisingly for you and the Bears, Mark Dykton. Caleb Williams was 10 for 10 out of the gate. Everything looked rosy for a while there.
Yeah, it started out well, just like you expected, and then Vikings started chipping away. The Bears couldn't stop getting penalties. 127 yards in penalties is totally unacceptable. I don't care if it's Week 1 or Week 15. So you got to clean that up. But, yeah, same old, same old.
It is amazing how that missed field goal just all of a sudden gave them life. You know, kind of a short field, Jefferson on the third down after that, and boom, it was game on. And J.J. McCarthy looked like a totally different player in the fourth quarter.
Well, it was the key players for the Vikings who got it done. Justin Jefferson, 4 catches, one including a 44-yard touchdown. Aaron Jones had 3 catches, including a touchdown as well. And the Vikings are 1-0. The Bears are 0-1. That puts a wrap on Week 1. And after Week 1, the Indianapolis Colts still on top of the standings with the greatest point differential of 25 points, tied with everybody else who won their season opener. Kevin Bowen, let's go.
Super Bowl odds have shifted, I see, for the Colts.
To what?
Much more in the favorite category.
All right, we'll get some details on that. I'm sure Mike will have that by the end of the day here. Yesterday, both of you were out at Colts practice facility checking in on injuries from Sunday. What did we find out, James Boyd?
Yeah, we weren't out there yesterday. We do Zoom calls on Mondays and Tuesdays, but we got an update from Shane Steichen, and he told us that Charvarius Ward, Mooney Ward, their number 1 corner, is in concussion protocol. Typically, guys miss a week, at least 1 week with a concussion. We'll see how things shake out for him. And then Jalen Jones went down with a hamstring injury, and it is the same hamstring that bothered him and kept him out for several weeks during training camp. So those are the 2 big notable things to keep in mind. And I guess lastly, JT Tuimoloau. We got a chance to ask about him. I believe Jake Arthur asked about him and why he didn't play. And Steichen was basically saying it was a numbers game. You know, how many defensive tackles you want to keep up versus how many defensive ends, which is what JT plays. And that could change week to week, but I still think it's concerning that your second-round pick didn't play a single snap in his debut.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that. The Broncos will be coming to town to play at Lucas Oil Stadium against the Colts. It'll be a 4:05 kick on Sunday afternoon. Both teams 1-0. The Broncos got it done with defense. Colts, they just got it done with everything. That was the most impressive part Sunday. All 3 phases, as the cliche goes, were clicking.
Denver a slight favorite in this one. They are dealing with an injury to Evan Ingram, veteran tight end. We've seen him most recently in Jacksonville, so that'll be something to keep an eye on. Again, not an overly explosive Denver offense by any means, but their defense, very, very potent, and they made Cam Ward look like a rookie quite often on Sunday afternoon.
Indiana Fever finish up their regular season tonight. They'll be at the Fieldhouse, 7:30 tip against the Minnesota Lynx. And I guess it'll be a couple of days before it all shakes out and everybody completes their schedules and we find out who the Fever will be playing in the first round of the WNBA playoffs. But as we talked about yesterday, James, they are in the postseason, either the 6 or 7 seed.
Yeah, and I'm excited for it. You know, here in about probably, I don't know, Kevin, what would you say, a week or so, we should have a home game for the Fever, and that place will be rocking, I'm sure, because, I mean, you fought all this way, and you got to keep fighting. I think the first round's still 3 games, and so if you still won on the road, you got a chance to, do some tough things at home.
Airtime, 7:15 with Eddie Garrison and the Fan pregame show, and then the Lynx and Fever tip-off at 7:30. Major League Baseball last night, the Atlanta Braves got past the Chicago Cubs by a score of 4-1. It was just a tough day all the way around, Mark.
Didn't watch a pitch, but the Cubs are struggling. 3 out of 4 losses now, so not great.
I will say that the San Diego Padres won their game 4-3. That's all I'll say about that right there. St. Louis Cardinals lost to the Mariners by a score of 4-2. Also last night, there was no game played for the Indianapolis Indians.
Final homestand, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
They will play the Iowa Cubs tonight at 6:35. And the U.S. men's national team will try to get things turned around tonight when they take on Japan in a friendly. They lost to South Korea in a very disappointing match over the weekend. Kevin Boyan, I don't know how much you follow this, Mark. You might follow it a little more. They are ranked 48th in the world right now, the U.S. men's national team.
You saying that it's a disappointing loss, I say it's just a regular game with the U.S. men's team. They don't win very important games usually.
Now, these are in the friendly category, right? The World Cup is next year stateside,
Yes.
is that correct?
Yep.
Yep. So, 48th in the world. That just seems wrong, doesn't it?
It does. It does.
Man.
It definitely seems wrong.
All right. Anything
Wrong
else
but
you guys want to
accurate.
throw in before we
I have a
head to
question.
break here? Yeah.
What's the plan for Max's birthday today?
We're
There
going
we
to pick
go.
up a dinosaur cake after school today.
Ooh, I like
So I don't think.
Does he know, or is it like a surprise?
No. He knows. I don't think he's in the car quite yet. So as I was watching the Bears slowly wilted away, a little mini trampoline was put together in the basement last night. So we'll have that.
There
He's
we
got
go.
some dinosaur bed. We're trying to
So,
progress
Kevin,
him.
did you test it out after the Bears lost? You're like, yes, my nemesis, yes.
Actually did test it out. I thought it was, boy, those springs are starting to already creak a little. And some nice dinosaur bed. We're trying to progress him to a bigger
Yeah.
bed, so some dinosaur bed sheets as well.
I like to
that.
voluntarily purchase a drum set if that's okay to send to Max. Is that all right?
Oh my gosh, is there anything worse than like noise making
I'm
presents?
gonna put it in my Amazon cart.
Have you
right
seen
now.
those little drum kits that have like the dampening noise?
No,
on the
I don't want.
drums?
I want the louder the better.
I'm the worst with that because I will definitely get my
Mark
God
wants
kids
that
the loudest
Friday at
toy.
11 a.m. siren around the city. He wants that to be plugged into one of these.
What were
toys here.
the themes of your girls' younger birthdays? I guess Nora's still there.
Addie loves dinosaurs. Emma likes princesses, and Nora likes everything, animals and stuff. So
Yeah, we went.
animals, dinosaurs, princesses, all that stuff.
The trendy things when my kids were little boys.
This was
the
like
movie
30 years ago.
No.
He got 2 grown men at home.
the movie Cars.
Oh, sure.
That was big.
Lightning
Classic,
McQueen.
Classic.
Yeah, we collected.
Wow.
My son to this day still has over 100 of the little car characters that he's collected in the Matchbox size things.
Put those on eBay.
Yeah, Angry Birds were big
Mm-hmm.
I
back in
remember
the
that
day.
game.
Dinosaurs are forever, and a lot of fire trucks too. A lot of fire trucks.
Boy, the pronunciation of these dinosaurs. Oh man.
One in particular vexing you?
I mean, all of them. I just butcher them like none other. I'm the opposite of you pronouncing U.S. Open tennis players. You're so eloquent with that, and all of a sudden I get the first ankylosaurus, and it sounds like I'm
You
having
did
a
fine there.
aneurysm trying to pronounce it.
That was good. All right. I thought there might be one more. Thought you might want to show off there for a
No,
second.
they're all. Trust me,
All right.
that's about the only one I can somewhat say.
All right, for those of you who missed it in the 9 o'clock hour yesterday, we're going to let you eavesdrop on our conversation with Kenny Moore II as the Colts win an opener to begin the season. I guess that's redundant there, but they win a season opener for the first time since 2013 with a rebuilt defense. We'll get his thoughts on that. We'll talk a little bit more about the week to come, and Pat Boylan will join us on the eve of on the day of the final regular season game of the Indiana Fever. That'll come your way at 9 o'clock. It's all straight ahead. It's the Fan Morning Show with Kevin Bowen, James Boyd. I'm Jeff Rickard, a sleepy, sad Mark Dykton on the other side as we continue. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Happy Tuesday. One more day to kind of bask in the glory of just a dominant victory for the Colts on their season opener against the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. And then we start to turn the page to get ready for the Denver Broncos as the week progresses. If you missed it yesterday in the 9 o'clock hour, we had an opportunity to talk to Kenny Moore II, the veteran cornerback for the Indianapolis Colts, who's been there through a lot. A couple of defensive coordinators now and a lot of changes. And, of course, the rebuilt defense, James Boyd, what we saw in the offseason came to fruition and shut down what a lot of people consider to be like the fastest team in the NFL when you start talking about Tyreek Hill and Achane and even Jalen Waddle, who's can't be discounted. And the Colts just did a fantastic job of just not letting them go.
Yeah, the Dolphins looked horrible. I mean, I don't know what else to describe or how else to describe them, because as good as Colts fans feel after that win, Dolphins fans have to be thinking the sky is falling in Miami, and this is not a tenable situation. So it's a lot of pressure on them. I think that hot seat probably ratcheted up a ton, Kevin, with some of the things going on down there.
James, given the opposing unit, so Miami's offense or Miami's defense, were you more impressed by Daniel Jones in the offense or Lou Anarumo in the defense?
It's a great question. Probably Daniel Jones, to be honest, because, again, this is a guy who his last start, he got benched.
Yeah.
Hadn't played in quite some time when it comes to a full-length football game. So for him to come out, again, early jitters there, overthrow to Pittman, got rocked on one of his first runs, but to settle in the way he did, that was very impressive to me. But not to discredit the defense at all. I'll probably put it like, 1A and 1B, give a slight edge to the offense.
I think it's a great debate. I think, if this is a debate project in school, you could make very strong cases for both. I heartily hear you out on Daniel Jones in the offense. I also don't want to undermine Lou Anarumo and making that explosive offense look so pedestrian. I mean, they didn't sniff a big play. And Hill and Waddle, it's one thing to be neutralized when it's Tim Boyle and Tyler Huntley, but with Tua back in there, and again, they've been so good on week ones. They've been so good in September. I think they kind of shocked the NFL a little bit year in and year out with their speed and all of that.
They scored less than they did last year.
Exactly.
And they scored 10 last year. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's
so,
crazy.
it's a compliment to the Colts and the unbelievable complementary football effort that they had, which, largely was missing last season. Both those units just outstanding.
Well, one of the leaders of those units on defense, of course, is Kenny Moore II. Had the opportunity to catch up with him yesterday in the 9 o'clock hour. If you missed it, here is that conversation.
Kenny, congrats, man. Good morning to you. How are you?
Hey, good morning. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Are you thinking ball there on the strip, or are you thinking purely sack? It looked like you came with that punch for the left hand for old Tua.
Yeah, just trying to be aggressive. We worked the turnover drill a lot in practice, and attacking the ball is one of the keys to, getting the ball out. So if you just stay aggressive, stay resilient, and do your best to finish through the play, and sometimes good things happen, and I had the ball roll my way.
Kenny, when I caught up with Latu after the game, he was talking about how diverse this defense is with Lou Anarumo. He was like, you got defensive backs getting strip sacks, and you have guys like me on the line getting interceptions. So what is it like to be in this defense where any guy can make a play, but also they can make any play, if that makes sense, whether it's, some of the versatility we saw yesterday?
Yeah, it's kind of cool, just being in a versatile system that kind of gives you it opens the door for, you can change the game at literally any point in the game. So honestly, you just got to stay poised. You can't miss the layup. You can't just be there and not be in the moment. You know what I mean? So you just got to play with good intentions and just be in the moment, and just don't be surprised when the play calls your name to make it. So it's something that we work all the time in practice. The repetition is what make things come up in the game for us to execute.
Is the next locker room debate whether Latu's a better DB or you're a better DN?
We were actually joking about it after the game. He was like, I'm with y'all now. I got the interception, and because I was telling him how proud I was to see him make that play in practice and then obviously correlate that to the game yesterday. That was so cool to see, and I think I know he has a really, big ceiling. His potential is through the roof, and he's so athletic, and it was pretty cool to see him on the stat line up having an interception. and then the next step for him will be, how to get in the end zone. So how can we get those interception return yards into the box to make it even better for the team? But it's cool to have that type of correlation to a DN to be able to make an interception like that.
It's the voice of a Colts captain right there, Kenny Moore II, with a huge strip sack yesterday as the Colts absolutely dominate the Dolphins in Week 1. Kenny, how would you describe the personality of Lou Anarumo?
Personality, I would say passionate. That's what comes to mind at first. Passionate. He loves what he does. Football is something that he really cares about. He's intentional. He's not gonna walk by the mistake. If he sees something that needs working, he'll let you know. He'll fix it. So I would say passionate and definitely intentional when it comes to approaching a game of football, approaching each day here in the Colts facility. He just knows what he has around him as far as like personnel, and he has a great staff that kind of pushes the envelope as well. And yeah, I think we're so blessed to have him. I knew he was going to be the piece for us to pretty much ascend this year, and hopefully we can just keep climbing this mountain in a positive way. But the season has a lot of ups and downs, and the foundation that he's created here on the defensive side of the ball, I just know that'll flow throughout the rest of the team.
Kenny Moore joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline this morning after a big win over the Dolphins yesterday. It felt like your defense was in control of that offense all day long. Like you dictated how things were going. When did you feel like, man, they can't do anything against us today?
Humbly so. That's just how we want to feel throughout the week. So whenever we touch the green on Sunday, we already got it figured out. You know what I mean? And it's not the easiest thing to say or to do. Don't get me wrong here. It is the National Football League, but you create that confidence and you create that edge throughout the week to be able to go out there and feel a certain way or a certain swagger to go out there and do your job and to do your job at a high level. So it's no really big moment that happened yesterday where you just feel like you got them. But honestly, when you walk out on that stadium and it's Winfrey Gym and the moment is there and you see all the alumni there, shoot, we had already created that before the game. So just the energy was already there, man. The energy was there. So just having all the guys in blue yesterday, it was a moment that we want to feel again.
Kenny Moore II joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline again, Pro Bowl cornerback for the Colts. And Kenny, you mentioned it there a little bit, the win for Jim mantra going into the season. I saw after the game on all the monitors in the stadium, it said one for Jim, past tense, meaning you all delivered, and obviously you want to keep doing that. But what were the emotions like in the locker room when you all are able to present the daughters with game balls after getting a win like that on the day their father, the guy who gave you an opportunity to play in this in the NFL, going into the Ring of Honor?
Man, it was just a moment of a lot of things. It could be sadness, it could be joyfulness for the family. Obviously, having a big day like that was yesterday, we really felt his presence on a day just like yesterday. Just having the roof open for him to look down to the stadium to see the big plays and the happiness and the cheering and the hugs and stuff like that. I've had a stronger connection with the daughters over the years. I've had a connection with him as well over the years, and just having just that 1% of just seeing their interaction with each other, a family. That's how you get the example of family, not just saying family, but seeing the way that they live it and the way that they approach it and the organization is pretty cool for me to see. And just his leadership and his spirit that he's always led with. Obviously, we've been doing our best to try to, execute for them. So it's cool to have that type of purpose going into the game, going throughout the game. It's been a great approach.
Kenny, do we have an official description on the Cam Bynum celebration?
Man, I don't know what to say about Cam. I don't know. He an interesting guy. Like you. I'm like, what do you do? Go home and you just watch all the movies and you take notes on the movies? Like how do you know all these different types of emotes? You know what I mean? So it's cool having him in the room. Though I mean, his spirit is very instrumental to how we are as a defense, how we are as a secondary, and he's a bright spot, man. I wear my heart on my sleeve, so you will see my good and bad times. This guy is always on the high, so it's pretty cool to have a guy like him in the room.
Yeah, that personality definitely seems pretty infectious. Okay, last one for me, and again, we can't thank enough for the time here on this.
A little infectious right there.
On this Monday morning. I believe you are in the facility right now, just for fans that maybe aren't totally in tune to kind of the week-to-week routine for you in season. What is a typical Monday like for you after a game?
I'm getting up at 7 o'clock to get back to the facility. I got some recovery starting up 7:30, 8 o'clock, and we have meetings, so we can do game review, we do post-game notes, we do the get in the bag, telling the truth. Okay, I saw this. Okay, I got to do better on this. So it's it's a lot of cleaning up, and then from there I do more recovery after work till about 4 o'clock or so, 4 or 5 o'clock. So it's still a whole day of stuff. We're in season now, so it's what can you expect? What can you really ask for? You know what I mean? I'm living my dreams. I'm feeling good about it, and I get to play with all my friends at recess every day. So it's been pretty good. Just today, you just got to recover, and every day you slowly get back into it to be back in that Sunday mindset.
I love it. Hey, last thing for me real quick, too. I know you saw it every day during camp and OTAs and stuff, but Tyler Warren's for real, right?
Yeah. It was cool to see how active he was. The preseason is always one thing, but to actually see it during the season, you're like, okay, this is for real. All these things count now, and just how accountable he is to the offense, and how much of a relief it's been for those guys. It's been pretty cool, and just having Daniel Jones there, and just having seeing Pitt go crazy yesterday it's pretty cool to see. And Alec had a nice catch, Ten had a nice catch, JD moving the sticks, and it's just so good. I think everything was just hitting on all cylinders, and we got things to clean up. Don't get me wrong, but I'm very proud of my teammates.
Well, good job out of you and your teammates and everybody else, especially on a day meant to honor the late Jim Irsay. You guys did him proud. So thanks for joining us this morning. We appreciate it, and we'll look for you next week against Denver.
No doubt. Much love.
Always good to talk to a member of the Colts after a victory, and that one particularly nice to hear from Kenny Moore. And that rebuild defense, 1 for 1, got 16 games to go, but so far so good, KB. We'll take what we got on Sunday.
I went back and finished that second half of rewatching the game, and you forget how many plays Kenny Moore just makes. Not just the strip onto knocks away a potential touchdown in the end zone, blows up. It amazes me how teams continue to throw screens towards the side of Kenny Moore. He plays so much bigger than the height and weight that is listed there. He's a hell of a story. I said it to him at training camp when we had him on, and it's pretty remarkable. Again, undrafted free agent out of the New England Patriots, cut here. And I'll never forget, the Colts played the Patriots on a Thursday nighter in 2018. And so Kenny had been with the Colts for about a year, a little over a year. And back then, you still got NFL coaches on conference calls, the opposing coach. So for this week, for example, Sean Payton would meet with the Indy media on Wednesday for a conference call. So it was Belichick. And I thought to myself, boy, what the hell do you even ask Belichick? It just seems like such a lost cause. And I just threw a dart at a board and thought, you know what? Who knows? Should I ask him about Kenny Moore? He was there for like 4 months. Maybe he'll give an answer. Maybe he won't give an answer. They clearly cut him, and he's now with the Colts. So I don't know. Maybe it's a tad awkward. But, who knows? Undrafted free agent. Belichick gave like a 3-minute answer on Kenny Moore. And that was still early Kenny stage. He was number 42 when he got here. That's a JV corner number. And he was still kind of progressing into certainly the player that he's become. And I just remember kind of walking away from that call thinking, oh, boy, you could tell Belichick really thought something of him. And obviously that's played out here over the last 7 or 8 years.
Crazy to think that he would have been cut and then Belichick would be so effusive in that praise.
Sometimes with those undrafted guys, it's,
it's hard to say.
It can be a numbers game, and you think you can sneak them onto the practice squad, and
Right.
that sort of aspect to it. And, there is some danger in that. And those New England teams were still maybe a little bit more Super Bowl-y and thought to themselves, hey, let's get some veterans, and we'll keep the undrafted guys later. But a hell of a career for lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, I'm looking back at that game yesterday too, James, and I think the thing that struck me is for this Colts team for the rest of the year too, I think it's really important for them to get off to a good start like they did against the Dolphins, where they really put Miami on their back heel. They're up 17-0 already, and it just felt like Miami was kind of like in that bar fight where you get knocked down and you just can never get to your feet again.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with turnovers because, again, their opening drive, the Colts, it was okay, and then it stalled out. You settle for 3, but then you get the ball right back with the great field position. That's one of the things that helps with this defense, and obviously I don't expect them to take away the ball 3 times every game, every week, but to flip the field that way, it gives you more margin for error on offense and makes your drives a lot easier. So I thought the defense did what they were supposed to do, and they made things, at least allowed Daniel Jones to touch the ball a lot more and to get more comfortable in this new offense with his teammates, and then they delivered eventually and punched in a couple of times to really blow the score open. So once you're down 17-0, though, you got to win that game, and they took control of it and didn't let it go. And like we talked about yesterday on the Zoom call, Xavier Howard was still pretty upset they didn't shut him out. So there's always something to correct in this game.
Were you surprised at all that not only Shane Steichen took the football, but Daniel Jones dropped back to pass like 6 times to start the game? Jonathan Taylor didn't touch it for the first.
We did talk about this
5 or 6 plays. Like, I mean,
in the press box, like, wait a second, this is supposed to be a run first offense.
Well, and so many people just defer. I'm watching the Manning cast last night, and Peyton, that's one of the things he's more adamant about. Always defer and try to get the double dip right there around halftime. Shane Steichen at home not only says we want the football. Some people are like, hey, let's let our home crowd get into it. Et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
No. They take the ball, and then they say, Daniel Jones, here you go.
I wonder how much of that was just we believe in you.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it was
and
that.
And I think some was definitely scheme with Miami. Like, this kind of gets back to the question, I was throwing your way a little bit earlier in the segment of, what were you more impressed by? And again, you're equally as impressed by the Colts offense and the Colts defense. But Miami did have a real deficiency at corner in this game. And so I think schematically, Shane Steichen looked at it and say, we can attack them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if it's Daniel Jones and whatever, his first start here in the blue and white. We're going to go after him. And then, they lose Storm Duck during the game. And obviously it even plays into it more.
Yeah. All right, so week 2 coming up for the Colts. They'll take on the Denver Broncos. And you talk about it not letting the team get off the floor. I know the Broncos beat the Tennessee Titans, but their offense was not very good. And they just kept turning the ball over. They had 4 turnovers in that game. Maybe that's something the Colts can keep going and just keep the Broncos offense down on the floor and not let them get up.
Yeah, we'll see. And that Broncos defense, to their credit, helped them win that game because they're used to giving other quarterbacks fits. And so I'm sure there'll be some things to clean up on their side. And if there is a coach that is very good at adjusting, it is Sean Payton. He's very good at, kind of reacting to how his team plays and making sure they're on their P's and Q's. So it should be a tougher matchup, I would imagine, for the Colts. Like I said, I don't expect them to blow every team out that they face, but this is a real test and a great opportunity for you to kind of take control of your season very early, because I can't remember the last time the Colts were 2-0, let alone 1-0, that having not happened in the last, 11, 12 years. So it is a key matchup. You're at home again. The Broncos fans travel well. I wonder how much that'll factor into things. And, yeah, man, as Cam Bynum keeps telling us, it's a movie, so we'll see how the movie plays out.
Last time the Colts were 2-0?
Yeah, I'm very curious, actually.
Andrew Luck, probably 14, 15? No, 2-0. It had to be a 12, something like that.
Keep going back.
Seriously.
Feel like Chris Berman in a home run derby. Back.
Oh, so you actually know the answer.
09?
Yes.
09, maybe?
The trip to the Super Bowl 2009.
Wow.
So that's all that's on the line this weekend? Is that what you're saying?
They started 2-0 that year, and didn't they start 14-0 that year? So you win Sunday, you might be starting 13 or 14-0. Will Chris Ballard pull the starters like Bill Polian did? Will we have that debate come mid-December?
Kevin Bowen's having a fever dream right now, and I'm here for it, James.
You know what?
The phrase fever dream is all. It's just I hear it so often now. Is this all Taylor Swift?
Maybe. I don't know.
Is everything Taylor Swift?
I like Taylor Swift. I'm not a big Swiftie, but I like her.
I'm shocked. I am shocked. You're not a Swiftie. I'm a Swiftie.
Well, I mean, I like Taylor Swift. I just don't listen to a ton of the music.
By the way, on the other side, we can get to this. I know a lot of people were curious why the Colts were announced as a team and not as a offense or defensive unit out of the tunnel yesterday. Shane Steichen mentioned that. And there is another Jim Irsay tribute. Sounds like it'll be a weekly thing. Might have got swept under all of the honoring of Jim Irsay from Sunday. We can hit on that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour as well.
That's next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Mark Dykton bouncing back nicely from that rough, just vicious attack by Kevin Bowen right out of the gate at 7 o'clock this morning.
I'll recover.
Watching the Bears last night just get viciously attacked by the Vikings.
Well, that's why the song's called Head-On Collision, because that's what I feel like I was in the last 12 hours.
Yeah. But James Boyd, you and I were just sitting back watching it all unfold in front of us. I thought there were going to be fists flying for a minute there, man.
Oh, no. Mark is a veteran. Bears fans are used to this.
Yeah.
Every year they lose in some epic way. The only funny part about it to me, in all seriousness, is watching my family get so excited and hyped up no matter what happens. It's like they go off the deep end at the end of the season, and then by the beginning of the next season, they're all on board again. And then I can, tell that my uncle, who was texting me last night, I told you, diehard fan, Mark.
Mm-hmm. I need his number, by the way.
He's texting me in the game, like, and I'm just reading his stream of conscious thoughts, and he was very upset with what was going on.
It's interesting because I think every fan base wants to get excited, and obviously the Colts fans have been a little beaten down over the last 5-6 years or so. And we had noticed that there was this kind of sense of apathy heading into the season. And, despite the great win on Sunday and Jim Irsay being honored, there were a lot of fans dressed up like blue seats for a home opener this past weekend, which was surprising. So my question to you, Kevin Bowen, if they can repeat anything like that against the Denver Broncos and come out of this one 2-0, does everybody jump right back on the Colts bandwagon at that point in time?
Yeah, I think you're going to have. Yeah, I think you have a lot of people that, they want to live in the short-term fandom thrill of it all and celebrate, a month of September like this franchise hasn't had in eons. And it's probably a difficult exercise
because quite a word there, Kevin. I like that.
Some people also can sit here and say, yeah, whatever, 1-0, 2-0. Okay, like, do you just live in the short term, or is there any acknowledgement of, well, what about that long term? And others might say, yeah, that conversation can wait. Put that on the back burner. And that's kind of what I was with yesterday, even of like hey, wait, is this real? Are the Colts that good, or are the Dolphins that bad? I'm like, who cares on this Monday? Let's just sit here, bask in it. You've never had any sort of, Monday to start a season like this in quite some time. But yeah, I do think you will see fans start to, want to live in that. I thought my commute down on Sunday, I thought it was one of the smoothest, traffic into a 1 o'clock game that I've ever had. And, you mentioned some of the empty seats that you had there, but once you start winning, you will definitely get that.
So to not push back on that, but to kind of expand on that idea, when do you ask the question, okay, because I threw it out there after I wrote my story, when is it okay to hope, and how much hope should you have, even just going into week 2? Because we can sit here and look up in 10 weeks and say the Dolphins are just stink. But even then, my counter to that, Kevin and Jeff, is that if they are that bad, then you're supposed to beat them that bad.
Well, so, again, NFL teams don't do what the Colts did.
That's what I'm saying.
Miami.
Say the Dolphins are garbage. That's what you're supposed to do to garbage. You're supposed to beat them down. So I feel like you should have a healthy level of optimism going into week 2. But at the same time, there's that scar tissue there. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself.
The NFL's just a grind. I mean, 17 weeks is
And you've been in locker rooms.
It's dog years.
Yeah, and you win a game, it's the highest level of jubilation you'll see. You lose a game, it is like going to a funeral afterwards. And you could be undefeated for a month. If you lose a game in the NFL, it is crushing.
Like, just take two sides of the week 1 overreactions. Last year,
absolutely,
the New Orleans Saints scored 47, I believe, in week 1. They put up over 40 in week 2, and Dennis Allen became the first head coach fired last season. That's how quickly it turned for them. Go back a handful of years ago to the Colts. They lose week 1 in Jacksonville. That is a Jacksonville team that turned out to be 1-15, and that's a Colts team that turned out to be a play away from winning a playoff game that year. Despite losing to the lowly Jags week 1, they won, 10 games that year with Phillip Rivers and ended up making the playoffs, and I thought very easily, outside of Josh Allen's heroics in that wild card game, could have won that. So, that's just kind of how the NFL cycle works. And, I know Shane Steichen, played for his team yesterday, played the clip from Daniel Jones after the game of saying, hey, sustaining success is a huge, huge part of this league. And, it sounds super cliche, but you do have to get back to the drawing board. And, James, that schedule is set over your right shoulder for the last few months now. Every time I'm looking at you, I can't help but glance at it. And, I have the Colts 4-2 to start the season. I just think there's great opportunity there. Now, this is one of the ones that I thought would be a hiccup, but I don't think Denver by any means is going to come in here and just walk all over the Colts. I think the Colts have a great chance. Again, I'm not overly impressed by Denver's offense. And if there's ever a week to be banged up at corner, I would put this week up there. I don't view Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. I'm sure I'm forgetting some others.
Those are the big three.
I don't view that as, like, if you were going to say, hey, which week would you rather be banged up at corner, Miami or this week, I would have said this week overwhelmingly.
That's a good point.
Compared to Miami. So we'll see. Again, Travaris Ward in concussion protocol for those that missed it. Some symptoms he developed yesterday. And then Jalen Jones sounds like he's going to miss some time.
Yep. Let's check the fan text line for the first time this morning, 239-1070. People checking in from all over the state, all over the country. As a matter of fact, Rick says he's looking forward to this weekend. Morning, guys. Listener from Tampa. I'll be meeting my sister in Indy this weekend. She's hailing from Wisconsin, but she's a Broncos fan since the Elway days and me a Colts fan since the Jim Harbaugh days. She's always said to me growing up, Colts are just baby Broncos. We need this win. Also, we have dinner reservations at St. Elmo's Saturday night. Other than the shrimp cocktail Kevin talks about, what else should we try? I'm pumped. Like, low-key, check out my favorite, Harry and Izzy's before you leave, though, too. But what else would you suggest at St. Elmo's besides the shrimp cocktail?
I don't think you can go wrong.
Yeah, there's nothing bad
Don't
there.
think you can go wrong. This will sound where my palate is at, but they have like that garlicky bread that they bring to your table before. I'm always like, boy, do I have enough clout to ask for more of that? And then I'm just kind of hoping someone else at the table does ask for more of that. But Rick, should be an awesome, awesome weekend. Weather looks outstanding. We did get a few questions, bless you, Mark, on why the Colts entered as a team on Sunday and not as the offensive unit, and then whatever. Jonathan Taylor's the last player announced, or defensive unit, and DeForest Buckner is the last player announced. And James Boyd, it sounded like that was a Shane Steichen decision. Sounded like a very last-minute decision. Wanted to do that to honor Jim Irsay, but that will not be happening moving forward based off what Shane said yesterday. Doesn't sound like it, at least.
No, he didn't really give us a straight answer on it, but I think my takeaway was that was just specific for the honoring of Jim Irsay. I know you wanted to expand on some of the other things they're doing for him, and one of them being very cool, actually. It was shout out to Purdue for their help in this, but I'll let you take it away, Kevin.
Yeah, so the Colts are going to do this each week. You might have seen on social media walking into the stadium on Sunday. Shane Steichen and Pete Ward kind of combined, Pete Ward, the COO of the Colts, kind of combined on this idea of wanting to have a player chosen at the Saturday night team meeting to walk into the stadium with a custom-made guitar. James brings up Purdue. A Purdue professor made this guitar. It's a very cool-looking, custom-made, and functioning guitar, and DeForest Buckner was the first player that was awarded it on Saturday night, and he walked into the stadium. The Colts put that out on social media. The guitar then sits on a stand in the locker room, and all players and staff members see that before the game to honor Jim Irsay. So that will be kind of the weekly way to honor Jim. And again,
do you think that's a road thing as well?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, I assume. Yeah, I don't want to be in charge, though, of the Colts staffer that has to make sure
That's what I was asking.
that guitar stays in one.
It's very nice.
Is that a carry-on, or do you have to check that? Or because it's a nice private flight, you could probably do whatever you want with
probably
it.
Private
different
flight,
rules.
it gets its own seat, I think.
Yeah, well, honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
You might strap that in next to the old pilot up there. So, yeah, it sounds like this will be something that happens each and every week here for the Colts there. So, yes, DeForest Buckner, honoree number 1, and we'll see about
I like that.
number 2. You going honor the offense here out of the tunnel, week 2? Were you afraid of the Daniel Jones boos in week 1, and now you're saying, hey, announce Daniel Jones last this week, baby?
Do it now, baby.
Are you going there?
Do it now.
I would. I honestly would, because he played outstanding football.
Seriously,
he is your
yeah.
quarterback.
Yeah.
He's your most notable player, I would think, at least notable addition to this team. So why not lean into it? I got a kick out of their social media post yesterday. They had a video where
That was so good.
they had I forget what show this is from or what video this is from. But long story short, they had two guys, and one of them they had put the face of Daniel Jones on there as like the waiter or whatever, and then the guy sitting at the table is Rigoberto Sanchez, and Daniel Jones comes over to I hope you're hungry, and pulls the lid off of his food and says for nothing because there was nothing there, just kind of making a joke about how Sanchez didn't have to have any punts. Technically, he had one, got called back, and it was a light day for the punter. It must be interesting to have a job where no one wants you to actually do it. Like, they want you to do it well when you're called upon, but if things go well, we don't ever want you to punt. And so he had a nice day off, I would say, on Sunday.
Crazy. It never happens, hardly. I mean, how many times?
It hadn't happened since
That's what I'm saying.
1978.
And again,
That's
thank you to
crazy.
Matthew Judon for contributing to Rigoberto. He did punt one, but it was negated.
I will say this, though. The actual
penalty.
punt that he made, that was a heck of a – it was beautiful. Turned over like it's supposed to and drove the receiver back. It was good.
Yeah.
So the other thing that was great, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I want to bring it up again, Spencer Schrader was terrific. Did everything that he was asked. And dating back to the preseason now, he's put together a couple of nice little performances. I know preseason is different than the regular season, but so far so good, James.
Yeah, you know what? I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, I believe he made 5 field goals last year, only attempted 5 all of last year, and he made 4 in the season opener Sunday. So he's 9 for 9 in his career. He has not missed a field goal. I'll knock on some wood here before the fans say I'm jinxing him, but that is a solid start for him. Again, he's a familiar face. He was actually the Colts' Week 1 kicker last year due to an injury to Matt Gay, but this year he is the guy. He is kicker numero uno, and so that is always a good discussion to have when we're not leading the show with bad kicking play or bad offensive line play.
And a 48-yarder, too, from Spencer late in that game,
Yes.
so a little bit more distance on that. Nick chiming in here, cheat code at St. Elmo,
Yeah.
cocktail sauce poured into the navy bean soup. He goes, I developed an allergy to shellfish, so this is how I get my horseradish fix. Boy, that is quite the way to get the horseradish fix.
I feel like that would hurt me.
Gosh, I feel like that's something Mark might need this morning.
Speaking of that, the text line is full of people just taking shots at Mark. A lot of just in the pack, just Bears suck, go Pack, go. I mean, a lot of that.
I mean, that's
this
not
morning,
one
too.
person. Are you sure you don't have any burner numbers out there?
Yeah, I'm looking through it. It's pretty mild.
Who, me?
I would say.
Yeah, you.
I
You
have
in
time for
particular.
burner numbers.
I don't know.
Mark, for our audience that maybe, hit the hay midway through the third quarter, you want to give them a brief summarization of what happened after that to your Bears?
The Bears continue to get penalized. There was a phantom holding call on Darnell Wright that kind of stomped out a potential Bears scoring drive. And then J.J. McCarthy found his wits, and he hit Aaron Jones for touchdown. Justin Jefferson got going, and the Bears blew the game, as they tend to do. Even when Ben Johnson's the head coach, he has to remember he's still coaching the Bears, who have a history of just, going down their leg.
Yeah, Jared B. was.
I'm currently searching for gongs, by the way. I've switched from drum sets to gongs. Curious if this would sound good at 6 in the morning on a Saturday, Kevin.
Oh, Max might be getting a birthday present from Mark today.
Hey, happy birthday to Max Bradley Bowen, if I must say. I believe Max might be in the car right now. Max, I love you, buddy. I love how you roar like a dinosaur and a lion and a tiger at times. I'm like, wait, who are we roaring? Are we Bowser right now? Am I Donkey Kong? Are you Bowser? But I love you, buddy, and I can't wait to hug you and give you a kiss when I pick you up today.
Nice.
And drum set or gong possibly on
And
the
we'll
doorstep
go pick
when
up
you
a
get home.
dinosaur cake, and we'll make sure any Mark Dykton gifts don't have batteries in them.
Mark Dykton's texting your wife. He's giving your kids gongs for their birthdays. Man.
I said it to Mark to start off the show. Karma is a sick, dangerous thing, and he is meeting it head on. Once he sent Maddie Bowen the text, I knew I'd get the last laugh.
But here's the thing.
I believe he sent her multiple texts. And someone might have said there was a picture involved in these texts.
Well, now
I
you're being a
cannot
little
confirm
ridiculous.
that I cannot confirm.
James has seen these text messages.
It's
they
a
are
picture.
You've
mild
shown
in
James these
comparison.
texts.
I was about to
Unbelievable.
say, should I plead the fifth here? It's
Bears
a picture,
might lose out.
It's a picture of the
March for
Mondos
Arch in
that
Chicago.
that don't exist.
By the way, I think Max deserves one of those squeezes tonight. Thank you, Mark, for those.
You're welcome.
That's gonna be a lot of
Still
fun
got some
for
couple in the
you
fridge.
tonight. Not better than a little kid birthday party, though, is there? Really?
I mean, as a childless one, grown people birthday parties are amazing. Just saying.
Matt Taylor was telling me
It's a lot less loud.
I was about to say.
You can leave
yeah,
whenever
I
you
love
want.
kid birthday parties, but I've had some great parties I've gone to for adults.
Maybe Mark can comment on this. Matt Taylor and I were chatting at a Colts training camp one day. He goes, "How old are you?" And I'm about to turn 36. And he goes, "Dude, you're about to get on the 40-year-old birthday train."
Mm-hmm.
Mark, Matt Taylor was saying, like, people treat their 40-year-old birthdays like it's a bachelor party or like their 21st birthday.
Well,
Oh, seriously? I know
They
that.
go
that's
all
news
out.
to me.
Wow.
Big party, maybe whatever. Go, an overnight in Bloomington. Was like, I don't know, something along those lines here. So, I guess that is something to look forward to.
Well, I mean, I could also just treat it as like if the Bears keep like this way, I'll be, off the wagon relatively quickly, and I'll be going into every, bar I can find to drink my sorrows away. So I could treat it like that as well.
We're getting some variations on those, though, too. People were getting tired of you getting hammered by the Bears' loss last night. So Gritty just texted in and said, Cubs suck.
Well, she can stick it because she's a Cardinals fan, so she wouldn't know good baseball if it hit her in the face.
Gritty, thank you for that. Cardinals and Reds fans shaking hands virtually right here.
Oh, man. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. It's the Fan Morning Show with James Boyd, Kevin Boyan, Mark Dyken going at it today. I'm Jeff Rickard. And I also see the jackets come off, and the self-loathing Fighting Irish fan now is wearing his Fighting Irish T-shirt.
Back on track here. Coming up Saturday night, Notre Dame at Texas A&M.
You better hope so.
From South Bend, Notre Dame, I believe 6-point favorite in that one. Huge game. I mean, you imagine if you start 0-2. Gosh, I'm going to be eating so much, you know what, coming up on Monday. But that's where we're at. How about, have you guys seen the line on this Purdue-USC game coming up on Saturday? We've got Indiana State on Friday. I hate these Friday night Big Ten games. We have Bloomington North and Bloomington South in a high school football matchup that in their own town.
It's wrong.
Indiana plays Indiana State.
It's wrong.
Purdue's line against USC. Guys, what do you think? USC is unranked. They have lost. They lost all their games they traveled into the Eastern time zone last year. So unranked. Maryland beat them last year. Minnesota beat them last year. Somebody else beat them last year when they traveled, maybe Michigan. Any guesses?
Well, you're selling it like USC is the favorite in this, so I'm going to say USC is like a 5.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I'll probably roll with what Mark said.
I'm going to go 14.5, double digits.
USC is a 21-point favorite. The amount of disrespect that is to the Purdue football program. You have an unranked conference opponent traveling 3 time zones. This team in USC did not win a single time. They made the trek out east last year in their first Big Ten season, and they're a 3-touchdown favorite in Rossett.
They can't be that much better.
I mean, I might be jumping on that line right away on Purdue's side of things because that's insane.
And if we look up this time next week and they actually lost by 3 touchdowns, that'll be very embarrassing.
A lot of local connections in this one. Barry Odom, used to be at UNLV. Jordan Mailata, USC's quarterback, started his college career at UNLV. USC has put up 73 and 59 in their 2 games this season. That sounds like a nice Big Ten basketball score for the Trojans there. So Purdue, USC, CBS coming up Saturday afternoon. And again, Indiana State 1 week before. James Boyd, did I see your Illini will be in prime time in Bloomington a week from Saturday? That will be a night game. Will College Game Day be there for that one?
I am curious about that, and I've gotten a lot of questions about will I be going, and I actually know because I have to drive to Tennessee that day, Nashville, for the Titans game the next morning. But I will surely be.
You can pull.
You can double dip that. If you had faith in your Illini, you would double dip it. That's a 3.5-hour drive, 4-hour drive.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Wow.
Sunday morning.
Wow.
Wait, if the game is at night, why would I? Wait, what?
Saturday night, Bloomington. Spend the night. Sunday, you wake up
no,
early.
It ain't never that deep. Mm-mm.
Drive to Tennessee.
No.
Or just stay till halftime.
No chance. I will find a nice bar in Tennessee, probably somewhere on the streets,
Broadway,
and talk my trash at a safe distance.
Can we get a video on social media that night?
Oh, sure. If the Illini win, I'll post a video trash talking everybody, and if they lose, my phone won't work.
That's how it goes. All right.
James will be the most sober person on Broadway that night.
This is true. I see some crazy things. Honestly, I'm like, you have no
man.
idea how bad you
Printer's
look at this
Alley,
moment.
baby.
Yeah, I
Go
told you
check
all
it
my
out.
story about Bob Kravitz. As long as I'm not with him, I shouldn't be getting into any Ubers that don't actually exist.
Mark, let's check it down.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Colts still basking in the glow of a Week 1 win at home over the Miami Dolphins, 33-8. Week number 1 of the NFL in the books after a Monday Night Football game featuring a comeback for J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings. They were down double digits, but ended up winning by a score of 27-24. J.J. McCarthy, 2 touchdown passes in his NFL debut. He ran for another. Justin Jefferson had a touchdown reception. Aaron Jones had a touchdown reception. Caleb Williams, Mark, started the night off well, perfect 10 for 10, but it kind of stalled out in the second half there. What happened?
Kind of.
I'm trying to be nice here.
Yeah, was just one of those things where you could just tell they kind of took their foot off the gas
It
and
looked like Broadway at 3 a.m. is how
Minnesota
much
just
it
kept
stalled
on
out.
going, and yeah, all of a sudden the defense broke after a while, and all of a sudden the offense couldn't get anything going. So sad to say, I've seen this song and dance before, but yeah, same New Year's, same thing.
Week number 2 will kick off Thursday night in Green Bay. I know Mark will be watching that one as the Packers take on the Washington Commanders on Thursday night. And then on Sunday, the Broncos come into Lucas Oil Stadium to take on the Colts. It'll be a 4:05 kick. And maybe the best part of that, James Boyd, Kevin Harlan on the call if you're watching on TV.
What a great commentator. I mean, he is awesome at any sport. He makes me – I feel like he could be like somebody's alarm clock to wake up in the morning. What a guy.
He's terrific. All right, college football coming your way this weekend.
Kevin Harlan's called a Colts game.
Yeah, the rankings are out. Yesterday we saw that. Didn't have a chance to talk about it all that much. In the AP Top 25, Ohio State is ranked number 1. Notre Dame is number 8 right now, and your Illini up to number 9, James Boyd, with Indiana checking in at 22nd there.
Yeah, I got Gritty in the YouTube chat, talking her trash like usual. Just keep that same energy when Illinois pulls that belt out in a couple of weeks.
I don't even know where to go after that one now. But anyway, that's where the rankings are. We'll tell you more about week 2. We're just talking about Purdue and USC coming up. And I don't know. For Barry Odom to hang tough in that football game, what a turnaround it would be for Purdue to start out 2-0 and then hang tough with a team that's been putting crazy amounts of points on the board.
Yeah, 21 points is just absolutely insane. They will honor the 25-year anniversary of the Rose Bowl team. Sounds like Drew Brees will be in the building. And again, Indiana State coming up on Friday night. So Kurt Mallory heading down to Bloomington for that one. I think that's a 6:30 kick there. And so Indiana will have that extra day to get ready for the Fighting James Boyds. And what is that is a massive, massive game coming up a week from Saturday. For Big Ten-wise, for the playoff, all of it. Illinois is ranked what, James? I think in the top 10, aren't they? Or close, knocking on the door?
12, I believe.
Yeah, just
12?
Well, they are 9th in the AP. They are now 9th also in the coaches poll.
There you go.
Greatness.
Where's game day this week?
This is a good question.
Oklahoma, Michigan, right?
That was last week.
Yeah.
Right.
While we're figuring that one out, I can tell you that the Indiana Fever return to the Fieldhouse tonight for their final regular season game of the year. They have clinched a playoff spot. The question is, will they finish as the number 6 seed or the number 7 seed? Tonight they will take on the Minnesota Lynx. The team, James, they defeated for the Commissioner's Cup not that long ago. So we'll see how that one all shakes out tonight. Much different team now as opposed to where they were back then, though.
Yeah, and ironically enough, though, they did win that Commissioner's Cup championship without Caitlin Clark, and so they are Caitlin Clark-less the rest of the way, but still trying to do something special this season, and I have to give them credit. Back-to-back playoff appearances for this team for the first time in a very long time. I believe the last time this happened were the days of Tamika Catchings.
All right,
College
airtime.
game day out in Knoxville, by the way, for Georgia, Tennessee.
There you go, James. Go hold a sign up. Go hold an Illini sign up out there.
I went to Knoxville a few years ago for Georgia, Tennessee. That was epic.
It probably was.
All right.
Tennessee scored on the first play of the game, 75-yard touchdown, and then I think Brock Bowers and Georgia scored like 40 straight.
Georgia did that to a lot of folks not that long ago. So anyway, airtime tonight for the Fever game here on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan comes your way at 7:15 with Eddie Garrison. And, of course, We'll have the play-by-play for you beginning at 7:30. Major League Baseball last night, the Braves over the Cubs by a score of 4-1. Padres edged the Reds 4-3. Cardinals lose in Seattle 4-2 there. And we had the Indianapolis Indians off last night, but they start their final homestand of the season tonight. Victory Field, 6:35 against the Iowa Cubs. Mark, maybe you can head out there with the family.
Probably will. It's last homestand of the season, or at least of the regular season for the Indians. I'm sure we'll get out there for at least a game or two this week. We'll see.
All right. That's what's happening in the world of sports, unless you want to throw anything else, Kevin?
I got one more, actually,
James?
for
Yeah?
you.
What do you got?
The Colts released veteran running back yesterday, Khalil Herbert, and then signed another veteran running back, Amir Abdullah. Amir is a 2015 second-round pick from the Lions. 32 years old, 10-year vet, and pretty experienced catching the ball out of the backfield, so something to keep in mind with the injury to Tyler Goodson. Will he feel better this week? But they're just kind of doing some rotating there with the practice squad.
We talked about it a little bit yesterday, too. Didn't see much DJ Giddens in that game on Sunday. Expect to see more as the season goes along?
Yeah, I know we're up against it. Greg asked about Jonathan Taylor. Maybe we can kind of hit that on the other side where the Colts are at. Running back-wise, any lingering effects for Jonathan Taylor from missing the final quarter plus in that game? We can hit that. Coming up next.
That's coming your way right around the corner in 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Everybody walking away from Lucas Oil Stadium pretty happy if they're wearing their Colts jerseys and they're flying Colts flags. It's always fun to see all the opposing team's fans sullen and sulking and sad walking out of the stadium, James. It's always nice to see.
I would imagine there was a lot of trash talk among the Colts fans and the few Dolphins fans that might have showed up. I will say, though, I didn't see very many Dolphins fans there on Sunday. I don't know if they traveled very well.
The villages have very tight hours. You can't be like out letting the blue hairs out there too late. I don't know if they can cross state lines too well.
Transplant Dolphins fan didn't really come up with the 72 Dolphins, what you're saying, Mark?
Yeah.
But hey, the blue pill make you do dangerous things, right?
You know it. I think I'll try this shrimp cocktail. Easy, Gladys.
We were talking about running backs just a moment ago, Kevin Boyan, and obviously with the release of Khalil Herbert and bringing on Amir Abdullah, things are changing in the reserve portion of that lineup. When do we see more DJ Giddens, and what's the status of Jonathan Taylor after he sat out about a quarter and a half on Sunday?
Greg tweeted this a little earlier. Why did Jonathan Taylor basically not play in the second half? So I guess to just kind of go over the Taylor day from Sunday, he had 15 carries in the first half, which is a big number for Jonathan Taylor, and he carries the ball a ton. I mean, 32 is his career high, so you think about that, 15 carries in one half. And then late in the third quarter, he took a hit kind of right in the neck area, probably 3-4 minutes to go, and he didn't, it's not like he was attended to on the field, but he came out, and James, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that was the first time he had exited all game. I know no other running back had a carry up until that point, and I don't think any of them had even played on offense.
You might be correct because we were all kind of sitting there, I want to say probably around the second quarter, like, are we going to see somebody else get in the game? And that was just not the case.
Because, again, with Derrick Henry, for example, I mean, you see him get time off, even a series off.
And you kind of have to keep your running backs fresh.
Yeah. Right, but the Colts have not really adopted that with Taylor. And this year, again, it's just one game, but it doesn't look like they're going to early in the season. So he came out, medical team took a look at him, took off his helmet. He eventually put his helmet back on, and by no means did he ever go in the blue tent or locker room or anything like that. Shane Steichen said yesterday he's still feeling fine. It sounded like he could have gone back in the game had the score maybe been a little bit closer. But yeah, DJ Giddens then got a ton of clock the rest of the way, and I thought DJ Giddens looked pretty good, and I know Shane Steichen was pleased with it. So yes, the Colts had two rookies behind Taylor on Sunday, Giddens and then undrafted Ulysses Bentley IV. They called up from the practice squad, and as James pointed out before the break, 32-year-old Amir Abdullah. Is he the oldest running back right now in the NFL?
I don't know if he's the oldest. He's got to be right up there, though.
I was going to say Derrick Henry's, 31, so I think that he might be just behind him.
Derrick Henry's like Adrian Peterson. He'll probably play till he's 35.
You wouldn't be wrong. I mean, the guy can get 1,000 yards in his sleep, but yeah, I thought it was an interesting pickup, and we'll see again. Practice tomorrow. Who's available? Who's
and again,
not.
he's on the practice squad, Abdullah, for now, but you can get called up at any point.
Exactly.
So. But I guess to summarize all that, Taylor sounds like he's good. Sometimes the neck stuff does it kind of flare up after the game, adrenaline rush in game, but by all accounts, it sounds like he's doing okay.
And he did speak to the media after the game, so it wasn't like one of those things. Usually if a guy's really banged up, they're not made available right after the game. So
Which on the flip side of that, Mooney Ward did speak to the media, and now he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I want Ulysses Bentley to get more run just so we can hear the radio calls.
Ulysses Bentley, they see me rolling in the end zone.
More of that, please.
Excellent.
He played well against Cincinnati in that last
Charles
exhibition
Arbuckle
game.
There. So, yeah, if you have Jonathan Taylor in fantasy, good news. He's going to touch the ball a whole lot. We saw that in week 1, and he even caught a couple balls out of the backfield, which for Taylor, I
he
think
lined
at times,
up wide as a wide receiver, I think, and caught one. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
And again, that's kind of some of the simple stuff that, Daniel Jones did on Sunday, where that is probably the easiest throw he made all day. Was frankly just that dump to Taylor, and it was a total check down. It was a total survive the next play, and you made a Miami dude try to tackle Taylor in space. He whiffed, and that turned into 12, 13 yards. Yeah. And that is what, Jones does for you. He is going to be one that, can find those check downs, and I think processing-wise, Shane Steichen obviously is extremely pleased with them, and we'll see. Denver, I think, much more of a sounder defense, and we'll see how effective you can be against Probably one of the better units in the league.
I do want to give some credit to Shane Steichen, too. I know we've talked about all the players and Lou Anarumo and his new defense, but he called a great game. And I think when you look at the efficiency that Daniel Jones had and then the variety of the plays just overall, I mean, you had Tyler Warren lining up in the backfield a couple times. You had Ashton Doolin kind of on this end around for a big game there. I think that was the vision that Shane has had for this offense. And he perhaps feels now I have a quarterback that can do these things at a higher rate than the ones I've had previously through my first 2 seasons. So it is an exciting start for Shane. And I'm curious to see, because, again, he's very creative. What does it look like when there's even a better understanding of the offense, or you feel like you can open up the playbook even more?
Well, he got a lot of praise from everywhere on the internet yesterday, of people quoting ex-offensive coordinators or ex-head coaches and things like that, saying that he was allowed to show that he is an elite play caller in the fact that he does have a quarterback that plays on schedule. He's got that tight end X factor that he's been looking for that he can use in all kinds of ways. And he's got a really good core of wide receivers. And then Jonathan Taylor, who's as good as anybody in the NFL. There's just a lot at his disposal with a pretty, better than average offensive line. He's kind of got the entire bag of tools that he can choose from at this point in time.
Yeah, Kevin, did you notice when we were talking to Matt Gonzalez yesterday on Zoom, and shout out to the right guard, starting his first game at that position and holding up very well, he called Daniel Jones Dimes. And he didn't say Danny Dimes, he just called him Dimes.
Straight up said Dimes.
And I was like, and I heard that nickname a couple times in the locker room after the game, but I wasn't thinking much of it in the moment because I'm just rushing around trying to get different guys before they leave the locker room for interviews. But it was funny that he just casually dropped that in there.
Casually. He's like, it was a combo block, and we just felt like we had to give Dimes some time.
I was like, okay. Like, I can see the merch from Home Field Apparel already.
Look at that.
So you think Dimes is winning out over Indiana Jones?
I mean, among the players, yes. I would say I hear Dimes a lot more than Indiana Jones.
Dimes with the Z on it for Daniel Jones?
Because I've seen national media, it seems to like Indiana Jones.
Well, we're local, so we get to decide around here.
That's right.
I've seen
I'm going with the offensive lineman.
I've seen a lot of the images, little gold jacket being photoshopped onto Dan Jones. We had a couple people mention move the Peyton statue to Shapiro's parking lot and put the Dan Jones statue out front there. So
wow.
I think that statue would be, obviously, if it's not game uniform, I think it would be Daniel Jones and what he wore to the game. It was very T.J. McConnell-like, I thought, Kevin. Showed up with jeans, like a thermal and a hat, and I was like, wow, this guy looks like he's just going to like the grocery store.
The only one wore underdressed was Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren literally wore a Nike shirt that looked like something my dad used to wear to mow the lawn.
I told you they're kindred spirit, though. I think those two guys really do probably like bond over being just simple dudes.
Throwback.
Dudes being dudes.
Does that mean we can't have a third season of Kirk Cousins on quarterback? Maybe it's Daniel Jones, Dimes next year.
Honestly, I would love to see him be in that show just to see if there's anything that we missed.
I don't know if the personality's going to go that far. Mark, are you a ManningCast guy during your Bears games?
I had double TVs going. So I had the ManningCast. I did the multi-view. So main feed on one part and then ManningCast on the other. And I was tuned in for quite a bit on the ManningCast.
Are they still 10-game in it? They're kind of their
I believe
schedule?
So. Yeah,
Colts 49ers is a Monday night game this year. Will we get Peyton finally?
I need to look to see if they've released the full ManningCast schedule, but I believe I don't think there's
time.
I don't think there's one next week. I could be wrong, but they have the double header. I'm curious if there's going to be one. I know there's one probably exclusively on ABC and then ESPN, but I don't know. I don't know if the ManningCast is even going on next week. I need to look it up.
Did you see?
That was a good watch. Peyton had some comments about being in Indy for the Jim Irsay Ring of Honor. He brought up how Tony Dungy let Peyton and a few players stay in Chicago after an 0-4 game so they could watch Eli's debut. I think, honestly, if you haven't consumed the ManningCast, I'm sure a lot of people have at this point. I think if you are a Colts fan or just a football fan in general, you'll enjoy kind of the random anecdotes that Peyton throws out there about his Colts time.
If you're holding out hope that the Colts would be on a ManningCast, you are mistaken.
Oh.
They will not be this year. The schedule's out. Yes, they are off week 2. They return week 3.
They're going to blame it on Christmas, aren't they?
Yeah, they return week 3, then week 5, then a gap to week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 15.
And so Colts 49ers is what, like December, James, you might know this, 22nd, 23rd? Does that sound right?
December 22nd.
22nd. So, yeah, they're going to play the Christmas card. Unbelievable.
Did you see Peyton wrote a handwritten letter to the Pope trying to get him on the Manning cast.
That had Maddie dying laughing. We were watching that last night. And then Eli texted the Pope. He had football emojis. It was like a 3-sentence text trying to get him on. Peyton's introducing himself in this handwritten letter like, hey, I'm Peyton Manning. I used to play quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. My brother's Eli Manning. He used to play for the Giants. We'd love for you to come on our show. And Eli just sends him a 3-sentence text and had football emojis on the bottom of it.
So is that what we need to do to get Peyton to do the Manning cast for Colts game?
Mm-hmm.
Write a letter, handwritten letter?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
And Peyton does strike me as a big handwritten letter guy.
What are the odds that Eli actually has the Pope's phone number? Probably just texted somebody that said it's the Pope's number.
that is real.
He's actually
Jones in his
Pope
phone
from New York is who he texted.
He's texting Jason Kelsey or something.
Coming up in a moment, we didn't talk about it a whole lot yesterday, but the defense had some interesting things to say after their dominant win over the Miami Dolphins in the locker room on Sunday. We'll talk about that next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You guys were in the locker room post-game talking to guys about everything that happened. It's the Miami Dolphins on Sunday, the 33-8 win. I thought it was interesting, and Stephen Holder wrote a piece on ESPN.com today, too, about Xavier Howard yesterday offering a stinging assessment of the Dolphins quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. He said, we knew the guy. He gets the ball out pretty quick, and once we take away his first read, I feel like it's panic mode after that, and it showed yesterday. We took away his first read, and he was trying to get rid of the ball real quick. You could just tell with big eyes and him getting flustered. That was from Latu as well. He said of Tua Tagovailoa. Anything to that where they just had him on the run?
I think that is what they want to do to every quarterback, and that's every defense in the league, quite frankly. But the biggest takeaway from me was just the ability to disguise coverages, vary coverages, and, again, give you certain looks you're probably not expecting. For example, on the Latu interception, he's lined up as someone who's going to rush. And in most cases, you're going to have your defensive end who you drafted very high to get after the quarterback, But he didn't do that. The ball snaps, and he stunts, and he drops back in coverage, and they end up rushing 3 and having a lot more in coverage, and he gets an interception. So that, to me, sometimes you see like the Dolphins reporters or even some of their fans are like, "What? How come he didn't see him?" Yes, he was there, but in a way, if you're like practicing this play, I would imagine over and over again, you're not thinking a guy will be there anyway. So just one of those things where Lou, created some confusion, and that is what they want to continue to do, and they have the players to do it. I mean, let's not sit here and act like Gus Bradley's defense was great. I will not. But also, let's not act like he got this amount of help either. I mean, they went out and got some playmakers for this defense, and you saw them show up this past Sunday.
Yeah, you go back and you watch a lot to INT, James, as you said. Him and Kwity Paye both stood up at the snap, which that's something that's different with the Colts. They are doing a lot more standing up along their defensive line, and Latu and Paye both dropped in coverage. So it was a 3rd and 3, and I think what Lou Anarumo was thinking there is Tua is not a scrambler. Tua, he wants to live in the pocket. So he's thinking, all right, let's rush, in that case, 3. They dropped the 2 defensive ends. Joe Bacci did blitz, joining the defensive tackles in the pass rush, and then they had Kwity Paye and Latu both in coverage there. And, for me, I've certainly been clamoring for a defensive change. I think it's just so critical for Bo Nix today, starting to break down film of the Colts, to go to Sean Payton and say, damn, I had no idea they were doing this stuff. This is such a 180 from last year. It'd be kind of, I guess, a nice question for some of the Denver media to throw Bo Nix's way. Could you compare your defensive approach for the Colts week 15 last year versus week 2 this year? And just how different that is for him of wait a minute, they brought Nick Cross here? They brought Kenny Moore here? They dropped Latu in coverage there? And I think that is just what is so critical. It's not going to work, obviously, every single week, but you're stressing preparation. And I think that is huge. And clearly Tua was really thrown off by it.
And it's always great to make other teams spend more time on tape. And as Coach Venturi has been saying, what you have now defensively, and he was really high on this in the post game as well, and I heard him last night talking to Matt as well, just you don't have what he called the vanilla defense anymore. There's all kinds of things going on at any point in time. To what you were talking about, you have 3 guys, and 2 of them are standing up. Now you're blitzing the middle linebacker, and you're dropping both ends back into coverage. So you still have 3 or 4 guys rushing, but they're not at all the 3 or 4 guys you would even think are going to be rushing on this play. And so the fact that that's now on tape, whether or not you do it again this week, the other team has to spend time this week preparing for it.
Yeah, I know we got a break coming up pretty soon, but one thing we can get to, and perhaps this will be after we talk to Pat Boyan about the fever and kind of close out the show with this. One thought I have is just, how much do you think that Denver game sits with this team?
Yeah.
From last year?
It's got to.
Yeah.
Just the fashion in which they lost.
I would hope, because the Colts really controlled so much of that game.
Yeah,
really.
We talk about the Giants game, but that to me was the game where After that, when you were pretty much
And again,
needing a
Taylor
miracle.
drops the ball on the goal line to go up 27. Then you have the trick play with A.D. Mitchell throwing back to Anthony Richardson, probably one of the dumbest mistakes Shane Steichen's made in his head coaching career. And Nick Bonito picks that off. I think it ended up being a lateral, technically.
He got paid off of that play, too, by the way.
And yeah, he got paid majorly there. So, yes, I think that is a conversation throughout the rest of the week. Mark, some homework here maybe during the break. I was reminded of this by a listener from Sunday. Jeff, you brought up Rick Venturi. I guess at one point late in the game, Matt Taylor chimed in and said, we're in mop-up time with Zach Wilson at quarterback, and Coach Venturi added this color. We used to call this the Cialis group, 60-second workouts. Mark, if you can maybe do a little digging on the homework there for Zach Wilson's short stint. There's a mom joke in there somewhere with Zach Wilson, but I don't know if that'll land too well. But nothing like when the mop-up, the walk-ons get in, you call it the Cialis group. You think
Possession into the end zone for a
maybe
Kenny Yeboah.
I'll do some digging. I'd like to add to the Venturi arsenal.
Which one is the wide ass open? The oh my God is Jalen Hurts partying at the C's, right?
Yes. The wide ass open. I'm trying to remember. I have to do some digging on that one too.
Well, good luck.
We'll talk fever with a man who's seen quite a bit of them in the last couple of years. One of our favorites, Pat Boylan, stops by next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Kenny Yeboah. Possession into the end zone for a
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Things are looking up for sports fans here in Indianapolis and Indiana all in all. We see the Colts winning their home opener against the Dolphins this past weekend. The Indiana Fever, despite the absence for most of the year of Caitlin Clark, have found themselves to go into the WNBA playoffs as either the 6 or 7 seed, and they've had injury after injury after injury, but they just keep on keeping on. And a man who's seen most of those games, if not all of them, joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. Pat Boyan, kind enough to spend a few minutes with us this morning. At the very beginning of the year, Pat, Stephanie White talked about grace and resilience with this team, and man, have they delivered on both of those things. Welcome to the program, but how have they gotten to where they've gotten so far?
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's, in my opinion, one of the great stories in all of the WNBA, if not sports, this year. And listen, I understand that a 23-20 record doesn't exactly jump off the page, especially maybe to a casual sports fan that checks in every once in a while. But when you consider, there's a great stat actually just thrown out by Rebecca Lobo on Twitter. I saw it about 10 minutes ago. The Fever are the first team to have 5 players go down with season-ending injuries. I'm spacing on the timeline here, but it's according to Rebecca Lobo, the Indiana Fever are the only team to have 5 season-ending injuries over the last 3 years, and here they are, already clinched into the playoffs. They clinched the playoff berth on Sunday. You know, I think Stephanie White and her staff deserve a ton of credit because she's the definition of poise and grace under pressure, and I think her staff follows that brilliantly. And the front office, you know, every single time the Fever bring in a player that's coming in for a hardship contract, coming in midseason, it feels like that they've been with the team for months, and that is really hard to do from a chemistry perspective. And so, you know, not having Caitlin Clark has been an incredible challenge. But it's amazing to me that last year, you know, the Fever had pretty good health the whole year and finished 20-20, and that was a real nice step forward. This team is going to beat that record despite the fact that Caitlin has only played 13 games, despite the fact that they've had 5 significant injuries this year. And let me be very clear, the Fever need Caitlin to ultimately hit their ceiling. And big picture, her return and her health is the number one storyline, in my opinion. But for this year's team that has dealt with what they are to be in this spot right now, you know, a chance to win tonight and finish 24-20, I really think it's one of the great stories in all the WNBA this year.
Pat, great to hear your voice, if I'm seeing correctly here. And Mark Dykton, we do try to be super respectful of people each and every morning that do join the show, especially someone like Pat. Pat works a lot of late nights, right? Mm-hmm. Pacers Fever.
Yep.
A lot of late nights. And typically, Pat is more of a, you know, in the 9 o'clock hour, right?
Yep.
You know, beauty sleep. You can't look like that and act like you're waking up at 5, 6 in the morning.
He always looks that good.
And yeah, I mean, hell, I mean, he's a good-looking caramel grad here. Pat Boyan, you had time for TV, though, earlier this morning. I don't recall you having time for the old radio show in the 8 o'clock hour before.
I don't know that I've ever declined the radio show in the 8 o'clock hour. I have always just stated my preference for the 8 o'clock hour because while I appreciate the very positive PR spin you did right there, yes,
thank you.
I am a very much a night owl. I will join your show if it was airing at 2 a.m. and no qualms about it. You start talking about the 7 o'clock hour, and that's a different story for me. But I am happy to do it if necessary. And actually, yeah, I was down with Fox 59 this morning doing a couple of hits with them, and I actually had the thought, you know, this will be good because it'll warm me up for you guys. Sometimes I'm still kind of cleaning out the cobwebs when we're talking in the morning, but that kind of helped me mentally get started for the day.
In all seriousness, thank you very much for the time. I was hoping you could maybe share for our audience a story about one of the new Fever players, and I'll leave it open-ended. Odyssey Sims, Shea Petty, Aerial Powers, like, you know, KK Timpson, I know, you know, from a rookie standpoint, like any of these players that at the start of the year, they probably weren't even on the Fever or in the league, and now all of a sudden they're playing very meaningful minutes. So as we start to shift to the regular season finale tonight, and obviously the playoffs, any of them stand out to you about a story for our audience?
Yeah, and you know what's, you know, just kind of a perfect encapsulation of the season is if you would have asked me this question a few weeks ago or a month ago or so, the answer would have been Ari McDonald, who was a high draft pick bounced around a little bit in her WNBA career, found herself outside looking in after, roster cut day at the beginning of the season, came in when Caitlin Clark got hurt, played so well that she earned a rest of the season contract. And then unfortunately, just the way the season has gone, the player who was brought in for an injury then herself had a season-ending injury. She's a remarkable story that unfortunately has, as far as sports go, kind of a tragic ending to her season this year. But Ariel Powers is probably the player I would pick there, although Odyssey Sims, her story's been great too. She was a high draft pick back in 2011, so she's a little bit on the older side in terms of WNBA age, but she actually, came in and hit the game-winning bucket against LA, her former team, and it looks like that's going to be a massive win in terms of the Fever both making the playoffs and LA likely missing. But my pick would just be Ariel Powers because, the joy and the just exuberance she has brought to this team, I think, has been palpable, and then her toughness as well. She was somebody that had a nice first 4 or 5 years of her career. And this is just the story of so many WNBA players. And it'll be interesting to watch as, the league expands and rosters expand. Does this continue to happen? Because there's just a lot of really good players right on the fringe of rosters. And Ariel Powers is a great example. And just the joy that she has brought in, the understanding of, this is kind of a second shot at her dream, has been really fun to witness. And she's come in and provided a ton of energy, a ton of toughness. And in that game against Washington, I mean, she's never really been known as like a three-point shooter, but she hit a couple of massive threes in the fourth quarter that I thought kind of put the game away. And this is a player that not only was on the outside looking in, but, the Fever had made numerous other signings this year to have other players fill in for hardship players. And she was, kind of one of the very last ones. And yet she's making a really big difference. And I expect she'll get, significant playoff minutes once the playoffs comes around. And, she's just kind of the embodiment of really this whole season, the toughness, the resiliency. If you would have said at the beginning of the season that I'd be talking about Ariel Powers, Odyssey Sims, and Ari McDonald here in an interview with you guys, I would have thought I, went to a different planet or different dimension or something. It's just so hard to believe. But here we are, and all those players are making a significant difference.
Let's go down that road a little bit further, Pat, because it's crazy to me, and maybe it's the front office, maybe it's Stephanie, the coaching staff, whatever. Whoever they've brought in, they haven't missed. That's been crazy to me that players keep going down, and we talk about the resilience, but the new players they brought in, all the folks you just talked about, they really haven't missed. How crazy is that? Why is that happening?
Yeah, it's just an incredible job, I think, and, it starts with Kelly Krauskopf and Amber Cox, and those two are the decision makers, and Kelly Krauskopf was the decision maker, by the way. You want to talk about somebody who has some foresight to draft Tamika Catchings on a torn ACL in one of the very formative years of the franchise when she was not even available to play in the first year. I mean, you think about that and say, we're going to draft a player with a top selection, third overall, that can't even play this year when you're an upstart expansion franchise. And that move obviously paid dividends. So here is Kelly, 20 plus years later, making these pivotal decisions. And I think it's understanding not just the type of player you need, but the type of person, and the type of person who's going to come in and buy into the team mindset. And that sounds easy, but it's really, really difficult because so many of these players, they're dying to be in the WNBA. They're dying to show not just the Fever, but other teams in the future, if it doesn't end up working out long-term with Indiana, that they are capable of being on a roster. And when that's the case, so often that type of player tries to do too much, frankly, tries to show, that they're capable to other teams, but that's not always what's in the best interest of the team. And so those two things can be a very difficult thing to find, somebody who's both capable on the court, but is going to fit into what you're doing. And oftentimes is the case, with players like this, you're not asking them to come in and be a superstar. You're asking them to come in and maybe play 8 minutes a game and do all the little things. And so I think identifying those type of players that fit what you need and kind of fit the style and the mantra of Stephanie White's 2025 Indiana Fever. I mean, that to me has just been such a massive storyline in this train not derailing. I think so many teams in so many sports that have this many significant injuries, that train's been off of the tracks a long time ago. And not only has that not happened here, but, the Fever have been able to excel despite all of these things and have a better record than last year. And again, they need Caitlin Clark back, big picture. They absolutely do. I don't want to do anything to suggest, that they are having more success without her, because that's not the case. It is just unquestionably and arguably correct that the Fever need her to be healthy for the future of this franchise to, win championships. But right now, in this tough scenario, I can't imagine handling it any better than the Fever are.
Pat Boyan again joining us on the Payless Liquors hotline, the play-by-play voice of the Fever. Pat, we have playoff Fever basketball for the second straight year, but unlike last year, there will be a Fever home game this time around, at least guaranteed. What can you tell us about the potential seeding still up for grabs right now ahead of the regular season finale tonight, and also just the excitement around this group to get into the dance?
Yeah, and that's a big point that you just made, which is the way the playoff format worked last year and for the past few years is they were trying to cut down on travel. It was probably a cost-saving measure. But the first round series, they were really unfair, in my opinion, because if you were in the Fever spot where you weren't a top 4 seed and didn't have home court advantage, first of all, it's best of 3. So that's a difference from the NBA and maybe people that have followed the NBA for a long time and are just starting to follow the WNBA more closely. That's a big difference. So first to 2 wins, the series go very, very quickly. But the way it used to work was last year, as an example, the Fever went to Connecticut. Connecticut was the higher seeded, the better seeded team. And the first 2 games of the series were there. And the only way the Fever got to play a home playoff game was if they won one of those 2. Then game 3, oddly enough, the do or die game, would have been in Indianapolis. Well, they have done away with that, and I think it was vital that they did because, frankly, it was really unfair across the board. And now you're in a situation where it's more standard. It's best of 3. The Fever will go on the road for game 1. They'll come back for game 2, and they'll guarantee themselves a home playoff game with a chance to force that do or die game 3 in this scenario. So the Fever are either going to be 6 or 7. To be 6, they've got to win tonight, and then Golden State has to lose out. And they will very likely play either Atlanta or Vegas. Outside chance of Phoenix, but either Atlanta or Vegas. And, when you're in this situation, you're going to be playing somebody very good, and you're not going to have home court advantage, and you don't have Caitlin Clark. So there will be a lot of challenges once the playoffs come around. But, the opportunity to have that home playoff game, I think, is massive because it guarantees you a scenario of win your home game, and then you'll be in a position to have a do or die game at minimum to move on to the second round of the playoffs. And so, if it's Vegas, that's the hottest team in the league by far. They haven't lost since early August. If it is Atlanta, I think one of the other great stories in the WNBA, this is a team, Atlanta, that just barely got into the playoffs last year and might end up with a 2 seed this year. So they'll play somebody good. They'll play somebody with a lot of talent. It'll be certainly a challenge, but I'm very, very glad the league has fixed this issue that they had with home court advantage and the way they were handling the home court situation in the playoffs, because it is a lot more fair and just for a team in the Fever's position here in 2025 than in the Fever's position just a year ago in 2024.
Pat, always good to have you on the morning show at any time. We appreciate that. And we'll let Kevin get you on at 7:45 one of these mornings, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a 7:30.
Thank you, Pat.
How far away are we from Pacers showing up, by the way?
Yeah, late September, I think, can't begin. That has been just a mind warp because when you play into late June, to me it feels like there should be like 3 months until the season starts. And you look down, it's like, oh no, there's preseason basketball here in a month. That's crazy.
Pat, did I see, before we let you go, did I see Aaron Nesmith had some guys down to I think it was the Charleston area, looked like some of the wing players, Matherin, Furphy, Shepard, some of those guys down there, Jarris Walker, for a little off-season get-together?
Yeah, I saw that too, and probably nothing more than you've seen just on social media. I actually saw the first photo with those guys doing some workouts in the sand, and I was like, hey, what's going on here? And then kind of saw the full encapsulation of it. I think the Pacers maybe even themselves did a post on it. So yeah, last year Pascal Siakam brought everybody together, and I think that was kind of a big moment as a galvanization type thing for this team in the offseason and ultimately the run they ended up having. So, I think, the Pacers are not the only team doing stuff like this, but I think it's really good for chemistry building at this point in the year. And obviously it's going to be a challenge without Tyrese Halliburton this year. So the chemistry is going to have to be on point, and hopefully this is something that helps with that.
All right, buddy. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
There he is, Pat Boyan, the voice of the Indiana Fever just about everywhere on TV. It doesn't seem to matter what channel it's on, but he does a great job there. And obviously one of the voices of the Indiana Pacers as well, along with Mark Boyle. So always good to have him on there. And I can't believe that NBA is, because we went so deep into June, it's here again already.
I mean, James, they typically start camp in September, right?
They do. I want to say it's late September, so we should be getting some Pacers action here very, very soon. And I'm not surprised that they got some guys together this offseason. Very tight-knit group, and I think they have an edge to them to kind of prove, okay, even without our best player, we're still not going to lay down for anybody.
I think they're going to be tough out for people.
Preseason game, 4 weeks from today. That's wild.
Let's go.
I have good news and bad news.
Does this have to do with the Bears or just you in general?
Pipe down. No.
Me and Gladys are getting it all today.
I found the Venturi audio.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not Cialis he's referring to.
Oh.
We used to call it the Vitalis squat, the 60-second workout.
There you go.
Point stands.
Dick Vitale meets Cialis. Is that what we heard there?
Yeah.
He's the best. Maybe that was an off-brand, Maybe that was a little bit more of a, under the table.
Black market ED, I guess.
Rick can say whatever he wants to say. That's where I'm at.
That's excellent. That was in reference to the Zach Wilson going into the game, the 60-second crew to end the game. For
Somebody
Miami.
was asking, is the White Ass Open still referring to the Jalen Hurts play? I'm like, that might be correct. Like the timestamps say differently, but that could be. Because the only other game that I found that's even in that vicinity is them against the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, well, they won that game, so I don't think it was that one.
I did notice late in the game, watching the end yesterday, James, and probably Jalen Jones' injury had something to do with it. Mooney Ward was playing at the end. The Colts did pull a lot of their frontline guys.
Yeah.
I would think normally Mooney, given his age, would be in that group. But Jalen Jones got hurt, of course, earlier in the game, so he was playing. He is in concussion protocol. For those that missed that news yesterday, developed some symptoms on Monday morning, so he will start the protocol now, and we'll see if he can make it through Sunday. Typically, guys don't, but, each concussion obviously is different there. And corner depth could be tested with Jalen Jones suffering that hamstring injury here coming up. So your healthy corners, James, Xavier Howard, Kenny Moore,
Mekhi Blackman,
the
Jonathan
newcomer.
Edwards.
Yeah, Jonathan Edwards, the undrafted free agent. I believe on the practice squad, it's just Chris Lamons.
Who
right
I like
now. Probably more of a slot guy, so that doesn't really play into Mooney Ward or Jalen Jones. So, we'll see how the Colts handle a cornerback. But, could be the NFL debut for the undrafted free agent, former Indiana Stater, Jonathan Edwards.
The Morning Checkdown on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
There was your injury update for the Indianapolis Colts as they get ready for Week 2 against the Denver Broncos. Broncos coming off a 2012 win over the Tennessee Titans this past weekend. Offense was not that good at all, but that defense showed why they led the league in sacks a year ago. They were all over Tennessee. So it'll be a very interesting matchup in that regard, James.
Yeah, I would imagine that it'll be tougher to play them than the lowly Dolphins because Week 1 was an absolute beatdown. And while Colts fans would love that, Jeff, I think there's a little bit more of a tougher test coming in a few days.
But to your point earlier, Kevin Bowen, the Denver offense did not look good at all against Tennessee, and you're not that high on Bo Nix anyway.
No, they just aren't very potent. And, Nix, he's been fine, but I don't think he's been a huge reason why, they made the playoffs last year. And to be fair, one of his worst games of his career was against Indianapolis last year in Week 15. They weren't great in Week 1 either. There was a ton of Tennessee penalties, and they got off to Cam Ward in a big, big way. So, Mark, I don't know if the line has shifted at all. 1 or 2, does that sound right? I think for Denver is a slight favorite here in Week 2. Is your mic on?
Mic's on.
Last time I checked, which was last night, as the Bears melted down, was 2.5 points in favor of the Broncos. I'm checking it this morning, and it looks like it is still 2.5 points.
Yeah, one thing Denver did well last week, though, they ran the ball for about $1.40.
Yeah,
so
but nothing until late. You
Yeah.
know, Harvey
They
got
put the game
going,
away.
their
Yeah.
rookie and Dobbins, but their run game wasn't great the first few quarters.
All right, so that'll be coming up on Sunday, a 4:05 start. Kevin Harlan will have the TV call if you can't get over to Lucas Oil Stadium yourselves. Last night, Monday Night Football made its 2025 debut. Chicago Bears started off well, 10 for 10 to get out of the gate for Caleb Williams, but it didn't end well. Minnesota gets a road win 27-24 in the debut game of J.J. McCarthy at quarterback for the Vikings. You want to break it down for us, Mark?
It was a tale of two halves, literally. The Bears looked great in the first half, and then the Vikings looked great in the second half, and the Bears couldn't do anything with it.
The nail polish wore off. Should
Yep.
he reapply at halftime?
I think I don't know. It was for a great cause because we're in Suicide Prevention Month, so he's showcasing that. But yeah, some people are like, oh, he's a nail polish. I'm like, I don't give two rips. Can he be a good quarterback? That's all I care about.
He had some big-time throws on opening drive. And then I don't know if the sack numbers would indicate it, Mark, but I just thought the protection waned. I thought Minnesota got after him a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of, all of a sudden, you could just feel that momentum shift all of a sudden. After Cairo Santos missed a 50-yard field goal, you kind of felt the wind starting to shift a little bit, and all of a sudden the offensive line wasn't as sturdy as it was in the first half, and then J.J. McCarthy started to find some rhythm, and he found that guy, Justin Jefferson, who's pretty good.
You know what I think is a great litmus test for the nail polish and things like that is Dennis Rodman.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he did it in an era where it really wasn't as welcoming, but because he was such a great player, everyone was just like, well, he's wearing a dress down Michigan Avenue. Who cares? He grabs 18 rebounds a game. So, as to your point, Mark, just play well and people will love you.
I always wanted to know how Rodman changed his hair color all the time. I'm like, that's got to be
and
horrible.
kept his hair.
I know.
Because I'm like, wouldn't it fall out after dying so many times?
I know.
I think we grow hair India. I don't want to misspeak at all, but I believe.
When's the purple and spotted hair coming?
I think that's the next iteration. Yeah.
Is that where Latu goes to get his dudes done?
Exactly.
How would Maddie react to that?
I don't think she'd be too big of a fan of that.
I'll text her and ask.
James and I will just be over on the side of the studio here as that goes on. NFL will take a couple of days off to catch its breath, and then on Thursday night, the Washington Commanders take on
Packers suck.
the Green Bay Packers, who looked awfully good in Week 1. Does that
That's
bother
great.
you?
No, doesn't bother me. They can be excited. That's fine. They still suck even if they win, so there's that.
I mean, the last time the Bears went to Lambeau Field, they were victorious.
Is that an NFC title game preview? Packers, Commanders?
Honestly, it is possible.
That'd be a pretty good one.
Micah got that first sack, and, man, they said Lambeau was shaking.
Did see Jaden Daniels popped up on the injury report. Again, Mondays of a short week. It's just walk-through stuff, but it sounds like he's still should be good to go on Thursday.
Did you guys see the Eagles just continue adding? Traded the little bit of the AFC
Tank
South.
Bigsby.
Yeah, Tank Bigsby off to Philadelphia for a 5th and 6th round pick in 2026. So they're adding up, and then the 49ers already dealing with a litany of injuries.
Yeah, Purdy's going to miss Week 2 for sure, and looks like George Kittle, the tight end, is going to be out for multiple weeks.
Yeah, I'm so glad I drafted George Kittle. I got one touchdown out of him. Now I'm scouring the waiver wire for a backup tight
You've
end.
had a terrific, other than the Colts win, you've had a terrific Week 1, haven't you?
I noticed that my Week 2 matchup is sitting across from me and Kevin Bowen over here. So
Oh, boy.
got a little-
Just to clarify, Brock Purdy hasn't been ruled out just yet. They're still trying to decide if he's going to play.
he could miss, it
Could
sounds
miss.
like.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, is that the backup?
Yes.
Yeah, huh?
Isn't Curtis Rourke on the 49ers? I guess it's a redshirt year for him. Mark, I looked pretty good in Week 1 if I'm...
I told you I liked your team, and
You
you
did.
scoffed at me and thought I was giving you blank, but I was not.
I did.
Now I
That
hope you lose mightily.
That was unfair of me.
All right. Major League Baseball last night, Braves over the Cubs 4-1. Cubs are kind of in that no man's land where they can't really improve their playoff positioning. They probably aren't going to lose much. It gets tough to then have to turn it back up in October and play real baseball.
It'd be nice
again.
to start winning against teams like the Nationals and the Braves, though. Like, even if you are a wild card team, you should probably beat those teams that are multiple games under 500. And unfortunately, you lost 3 or 4.
You claim you didn't watch one pitch last night.
Not one pitch. I was too busy with the Bears game and the Manning cast and wrestling. So I was like, well, I checked my phone, saw they're down 4-1. I'm like, that's all I need to know. I don't need to tune in at all.
Padres beat the Reds by a score of 4-3. It was St. Louis losing in Seattle by a count of 4-2 there. And the Indianapolis Indians start their final homestand of the year tonight over at Victory Field against the Iowa Cubs. 6:35. Indiana Fever, we just got done talking to Pat Boyan about them. They will finish up their regular season tonight at the Fieldhouse. Their 44th game of the year. They are 23-20. Remains to be seen whether they go in as the 6 seed or the 7 seed in the WNBA playoffs. And we'll have the airtime for you at 7:15. Eddie Garrison on the Fan pregame show. Tip comes your way at 7:30. And if you are a U.S. men's national team soccer fan, they will take on Japan tonight. You'll be able to watch that on TNT, HBO, and I think even Peacock is going to run some of that. You can find them almost everywhere if you got all that stuff. So
I'm very impressed by your U.S. men's national team updates.
Yeah, I've got nothing for you when it
trying
comes
to
to
get
that.
ready for the upcoming World Cup, but it's
What's
hard
the
to get
guy-
too excited when they're ranked 48th in the world.
What's our manager's name? Something like
Pochetti, Pochetti, something like that. Well, I don't really know that
And
much
who's our
about
best
him,
player?
but he hasn't done well.
Is it
Christian
still-
Pulisic.
Is it
Freddie
still him?
Adu, right? He's still out there.
He
No,
was a
Okay.
baller.
I don't know if I can name 3 players.
I was
in the
gonna
U.S.
say,
men's
no.
national team.
Wait,
But that's
Indiana
part of the
is
problem.
gone.
Like, nobody seems to care that much.
I need
about
Lauren
the US men's
Cheney's
national
husband to
team.
get out there, Drew Holiday, see if the soccer genes have rubbed off on her or rubbed off on him at all.
You might be onto something.
Outside of Pulisic, I don't know a single person.
Tim Howard's not between
No,
the pipes.
no. I'm looking right now. Not a soul.
Gooch
Not a guy.
Onyewu, I remember him as a defenseman. Michael Bradley, didn't he play for his dad at one point?
Mhm.
But don't we have the other guy who used to be the coach? His son is still lingering around. Who was the one we all hated? The last coach?
Oh, really?
I don't know. Wouldn't draw a name out of a hat. I feel like every men's national coach, everybody hates it.
I said Arenas because he's going back like 10 years for all these names.
No, not Bruce Arena. Who? Gosh.
Klinsman, is that what you're talking about? Klinsman.
Oh,
he was a
gosh,
couple of
now
them.
you're bringing up all of them. I don't know. I forget his. I can see him right now. Kind of a bald-headed dude.
And that has been your U.S. men's soccer preview,
That's pretty
guys.
That's
we'll talk to
the
you again when we
point,
get to the
though.
World Cup.
That's the point of it. They do have a 14-year-old phenom coming up, Kavan Sullivan.
Well,
That's what they said about Freddie
boy,
Adu.
we've heard that a time or two.
Let's see what happens.
I'm an old man now. He's not good anymore.
All of our cameras are on the brink. You've had to
No, I'm
restart
like
all of them at one
Like
point.
IT over here.
We're in trouble if that's the case. I love the fact that James just sitting the U.S. men's national team out altogether.
They stink. What else is there to talk about?
And I do think we're way over.
Yeah, we're way over.
We're good. We'll continue in a moment. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Marcus, you know better than anyone. No good deed goes unpunished.
Well, we had a segment planned
studio.
here, and we are throwing that right out the window after what happened in the break.
Mark, you have questions,
We
right?
are throwing it right out the break. Jeff,
do you want me
please.
to set the story, to
Please
set the
do.
stage?
Please.
I
All
have
right.
so many questions.
Every couple of years, Marion University hosts the National Collegiate Cycling Championships.
Okay.
They are a powerhouse. The school that I happen to attend in college is also a cycling powerhouse.
Okay.
I happen to know and am friends with the coach of said team from my
This
school.
context was not given us when we told the
Right.
story originally, but go ahead.
So they always send a large contingent of folks, I don't know, 8 to 10 riders on each side, the male and female side.
Okay.
They'll get an Airbnb for either the men or the women, and then whoever they don't get the Airbnb for, our house, we host the other side. So last time we hosted the men, this time, for whatever reason, the coach makes the decisions. He's decided that the women will stay at our house. We have some space. We have an extra room. We've got all kinds of pull-out beds and couches and things like that. And it just works out. We can host that many people. So we do. I said offhand during the break, I said, man, when I go home tonight, and I get that there was no context for you guys, my house is going to be full of like a dozen college women getting ready for the Cycling National Championships. And you were like, wait, what? That would never happen in my house, you said.
Oh, no, my parents and would absolutely veto that. They wouldn't even offer the university. We paid all this money for you to go to school. They better figure it out. But the funniest part about this is that you...
I just can't stop thinking about your high school age sons.
I know. They're going to have the time of their lives, or they're going to be very miserable.
Jake is not happy that he's given his room up at all.
Well,
he didn't give it up. You gave it up.
Yeah, well, he didn't have a choice.
The wildest thing
He
is
might
that
be giving up other things.
you said
Do not put that in my son's head.
Hey, what you mean? Oh, no. If
the wildest thing is you have a dozen people staying for how long at your house?
Probably 5 days.
5 days
for
a
free.
dozen strangers.
That's
Well,
absurd.
they provide their
How
own
many-
food
so
and
how many
whatnot.
bathrooms does
Plus,
this
here's the thing,
mansion have?
They will
Right.
spend, other than just sleeping there, they're pretty much at the track most of the time.
But then they're pretty much going to be at your house the other time.
In the evenings, asleep, go to bed, yeah, whatever.
And
Jeff is hosting Love Island from his house.
No, their minds are on the sport. They came here to
Settlers
win
of
I
national
was going to say,
championships.
Jake and
Thursday
Grant,
night
my
football
mind would be
together.
on something else.
Your
Hey,
electric
I'd be very
bill,
friendly that
your
week.
water bill. I can't even imagine.
I will tell you this. Well, I've gotten to know some of these kids over the years. They're young adults, is what they are. Some of the coolest people I've met. Man, just
I don't care how cool they are. I played in my house for
folks,
5
man.
days. Get the hell out of here.
So my only question, you do have the lawyer wife.
How many bathrooms
Shout out
are
to
in this
Christine.
home?
Do they have to sign something from the university? Because I feel like there has to be some
I
stipulations.
don't know
here.
their side.
This
of this.
sounds like an
I don't
AAU
know.
trip, but that's not AAU.
No, it's very machine-like. They come in, they do their work, they cook their own meals, they get their own food. They're at the track most
they're
of the
in
time.
your spice cabinet. This is getting better.
Oh, they're good, man. It's fun.
Run of nutmeg. Jeff, go run to the store.
Mrs. Rickard, where's the creamer for the coffee?
The Keurig's broken, the toilet's overflowing.
It's a way to give back to your university.
Boy, man,
without
they
having
better
to
not
give
ask
a bunch
for a
of
donation
cash.
for
I was
2
about
years.
to say, man.
I think I'd much rather prefer to be in a hotel if I were them.
I wonder how you get to choose men or women. Like, do you flip a coin?
Now, I will tell you,
You're going to Jeff's
wandering around
house.
the west side of Carmel.
I don't know.
I mean, you have the better draw. You got the girls because they're usually cleaner
I
than the men.
thoroughly enjoyed
but
meeting those young men a couple years ago. They were terrific kids.
that is insanity.
And then, so how is it set up for your sons? Because
Where-
one of them
yeah,
got
where
paid
they
from
gotta
their room,
They have to share one room.
They're out in the backyard.
And so-
They each have their own room, but they got to share a room this week.
and they're bunking.
Yeah.
How many I don't understand where a dozen people are going.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
they
that's a
got-
good question, Kevin Bowen.
They're-
Because
they're
I'd be trying to bunk
from-
somewhere else.
they're not so big that they've outgrown physically the bunk beds that we used to have. So that's what'll be going on there.
So they haven't outgrown the bunk beds from their childhood.
Well,
These are
they're
big bunk beds.
bordering there, but they're not quite there yet.
There's
Man.
room for one more, Sally.
Oh, my.
I'm saying, you know what?
Leave it to you guys to
Jake
turn
and
something
Grant,
that's going to be totally
You
fun
got to embrace the moment.
and exciting, and you're
My
like,
parents
oh,
would never
no,
do
man.
this, but brother, especially with Pops, you got to get up early in the morning to come to the show. Oh, that'd be when I'd be stepping out of my room, just perusing. Hey, what's going on? How was your day? I'd be sitting down. Be very friendly.
So you can't decide whether you like it or you don't like
Oh, I
it.
would hate the room setup.
All right.
Bunking with my older brother just sounds miserable. But if my trade-off is I get to meet a bunch of young women and ask them about college life. Might be a good life for me.
I know Kevin Bowen is eerily silent over here on the left about the whole thing.
It sounds horrific to me.
Why? It was terrific then.
It sounds
This will be the third time we've done it. The first two we
How
all
many
had
people
fun.
are in your house currently? Before the baker's dozen come? How many currently?
Five.
So 17 people.
Like
the
I said,
first
it
year we
sounds
had
horrific.
both teams.
Unless
I
you've
need
got,
this-
You know what?
unless you bought Jim Irsay's estate,
I was
this
about to say, it
sounds
sounds
awful.
like Jeff is doing pretty well. All these rooms you got.
I know. I need the
You know
Zillow
what?
address here.
I'm literally losing hair thinking about how we're gonna welcome a third child into
Party
our small
at Jeff's
home.
house, baby.
When's that coming, by the way? Do we have a date on that?
1928. So yeah, that's where my stress level is. I'm just trying to make sure. Did I tighten the screws on that little trampoline for Max Bowen for tonight? That's
Kevin and
kinda
I
where
are
I'm at.
sweating over Windows cost, and Jeff's like, "Hey, the whole football team's coming over for
now
a week and a half."
Now it's a football
Are they
team.
staying for the Broncos game? Are they Broncos fans as well?
I was gonna
I
say.
think that has been brought up in some text messages. Yeah, they're going to watch on the,
Oh,
on
wow.
the TV.
Party. Somebody bring the 7-layer dip.
Okay, so this is my last request, Jeff, and you please,
Yeah,
can you get a picture with you just sitting in the middle of everybody?
sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, this is going to be like him on like The Bachelor or something.
The Golden Bachelor.
And I'm generally Team Marion except for this week.
Okay.
I'll be
Okay.
So anything else before we move on to
No,
other topics?
that is I love that story. Thank you for
So
sharing.
starting, they arrive today?
Yeah, this afternoon. This evening.
Yep.
They'll be trickling
We'll
in.
see how tired he is tomorrow when he's like, I was climbing over multiple people to get to my door.
Multiple sleeping bags.
See, the downside for me is oftentimes if I'm really tired and I don't want to be bothered by anybody else and I got to get up at 4:30 or 5 in the morning, I'll just go to the basement and go to one of the
No, you're
to
going to
the
have 3
bedroom
people
down there.
sleeping
I was
down
gonna
there.
say,
There's
you
no
can't
room
go
for
to
you
bed
now.
now.
Good luck. You got
So I
truth or
can't do
dare
that now.
happening down there. With your
7
son.
minutes in heaven.
Shout out to Hoosier97 in our YouTube chat. He says Jeff's sons are going to be in heaven.
They are
Yes,
gonna be
they
there.
will.
You imagine how great of friends they're gonna have at high school
I'm
this
telling
week?
you,
Oh my
man.
gosh.
Can you believe what my dad did? Yes.
I need a toilet paper roll count of how many you go through in this week alone. I'm
feel
guessing you're going to Costco a couple
I
times.
want to guess how many like flat irons are being brought into your house.
As I said, morning show, no good deed goes unpunished here.
Oh, it's a great deed.
Boy, God bless your electric bill.
All right. Quick timeout, and Mark needs to get, not only did he have to exercise his Bears demons this morning, but now apparently he's got to exercise his fantasy football demons from our show league here, right? We'll do
You
that
know it.
next. And we'll talk about some injuries. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You're listening to the Fan Morning Show on Sports Radio 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
You are one of a kind, Mark Dykton.
Well, that was a listener request. Somebody called in and said, as Jeff was describing this story, all I thought of was Val Venus from wrestling. And I said, that is the rejoinder now. The hello, ladies. That's exactly
I'm
what's
telling you, man, my boy Grant gonna show up with a rose in his mouth when they show up tonight.
Oh, man. Ricky writes in the Vitalis reference from Coach Venturi. It's from the 1950s, an ad for Vitalis, the 60-second workout. Way too old of a reference for today's listeners. And yes, he remembers it because he's old. Great show. Love the listen.
We used to call it the Vitalis squat, the 60-second workout.
There's the context for you, Mark.
There you go. Somebody said it was a hair tonic.
Certainly another place we could go with that one, but I'll just probably leave that right there.
You guys are incredible. Unbelievable. Mark Dykton, how did week 1 go in the Fantasy Football League?
W for me. W for Kevin Bowen, who he and I will face off in week 2. So a battle of undefeateds here. I'm trying to see what you did, Jeff.
I had a win as well.
You won. So congrats to you. And yeah, so all three of us victorious in our week 1 matchups. So now Kevin and I go head-to-head in week 2 and all that. But yeah, some fantasy questions, again, heading into week 2 of the season. Maybe your team or players didn't perform how you expected. You're probably checking that waiver wire today and getting ready for week 2. So there's some injuries out there already that we got talked about. But we should dive into some possible waiver additions for fantasy football heading into week 2.
What are you doing for George Kittle's replacement at tight end?
Well, let's get into it. I would say, and I was doing a little research here because I have George Kittle in one of my leagues. I would say he's expected to miss multiple weeks. So, again, tight end position in fantasy football is kind of a crapshoot, quite honestly. We're getting older guys like Kelsey and Goddard and everything like that. There are some younger guys out there. Jonnu Smith from Pittsburgh. He's available in over 77% of leagues. Hauled in a TD pass. Was targeted 5 times by Aaron Rodgers, so there's that option out there. He's readily available in leagues. Another one is possibly Kittle's replacement. Looks to be Jake Tungus. I'm going to ruin that name. I don't know if it's Tungus or Tungus. He was 3 for 3 in relief for Kittle, including a touchdown. He's available in basically every league available. He might be a hot addition, especially with Kittle expected to be sidelined multiple weeks, so he's out there. Another option is Jacksonville's Brenton Strange. Went 4 for 4 and averaged 14.8 yards per reception. So again, reliable reliable tight end is a QB's best friend. Maybe look there for your waiver wire claims if you are a George Kittle owner.
Yeah, Monday Night Football, Brock Bowers a little banged up too. Speaking of tight ends, you hate waiting until Monday night, but Michael Mayer, had a nice week 1 with Bowers playing, so he would be another one. And I know Evan Ingram, that's a big injury for the Colts, frankly, this week. Tight end for the Broncos, he left late in that game, so you did have a couple of tight end injuries there. I was shocked that I think it was in our league that I got Keon Coleman in the draft so late. He had an unbelievable.
Did you play him?
Week. No, I didn't play him, but I don't know how you guys feel kind of late in drafts, but I just kind of look at where are the great quarterbacks in the league. Find me wide receiver 3 or 4, and if an injury occurs, boom, they're now in a bigger role. So if you're in a league with dumb people, you might find Keon Coleman sitting there on the waiver wire.
To that point, to kind of piggyback off of that, I would go Hollywood Brown in Kansas City.
Yeah.
He's a guy you probably wouldn't look at as a starter, but you might want to start him considering that they've had some injuries, and he had a big week 1, 10 catches for 99 yards.
And I would say quarterback-wise, maybe you didn't love what you got from quarterback. I had Bo Nix in one of my leagues, didn't really love what I saw there. And then we also have the potential injury to Brock Purdy if you're a 49ers fan. Could be out for at least game 2, maybe longer. There are some guys out there. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Aaron Rodgers had a hell of a week 1. He's out there. Michael Penix Jr. for the Falcons. And hell, Daniel Jones is out there, folks. All 3 of those readily available in almost every league right now. So get your waiver wire claim in. If you're concerned about quarterback, one of those 3 guys could help you immensely.
James, speaking of injuries, I hated to see that Julian Blackmon news from yesterday. Former Colts safety, rumor of torn labrum. And didn't he injure the shoulder week 1 last year?
Yes.
And played through it?
Yeah, so he actually tore his labrum early in the year last year, played through it, got surgery after the season, signed with the Saints, have been playing pretty good, at least early on in week 1 and throughout, leading up to the season and goes down again. And I believe it's the same shoulder, same issue. And that's really the one big knock on Julian Blackmon is the injuries, because when he's played, he's been healthy. He's been very good. And honestly, he would be the Colts safety of the future had he stayed healthy, but just tough break for him, and wishing him well because he is a really good dude as well.
Yeah. Every year, that's how it works, man. Injuries, week 1, week 2. And it's just part of the NFL.
Yeah, part of it is just being lucky enough to stay healthy and giving yourself a chance to play out there. But he can't control that. And like I said, wishing him a speedy recovery. And hopefully he gets a chance to, just get that corrected.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on all of that. The waiver wires for most people happen on Tuesday, I believe, don't they, Mark?
That's why I get them in today, because you get your claims in for Wednesday, and then we're right back at football for Thursday.
Like I said, sooner or later, the NFL is going to figure out a way to go 7 days a week. Sooner or later, 7 days a week, they'll be on about 9 different platforms.
Yeah, they've already hijacked Christmas, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Man, that's how that goes. You heading over to the Fieldhouse tonight? Catch the regular season finale for the Indiana Fever?
I'm very tempted to go, just check it out and kind of see what the reaction is from the crowd. Because usually, I want to say, they've done this for Pacers games. I think Fever games as well, Kevin. At the end of the season, the last home game, they'll throw some mini basketballs out to the crowd.
Fan appreciation day.
Yeah, so they might be doing some of that tonight, which is, very exciting. And it's more exciting when you know that really isn't your last home game, because for the first time, the WNBA has switched to the 1-1-1 setup in the first round of the playoff, meaning one home game, one road game to start if you're the lower seed, one home game, then one road game. So they're guaranteed a home playoff game here in a couple of days.
Will the Fever rest anybody tonight?
That's a good question.
No Nafisa Collier for the Lynx.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily would, because they're still kind of up for grabs with their positioning. But I wonder.
But Kelsey Mitchell's played a lot of minutes.
Yeah, I wonder if one of those things where you look at the other scores while your game is going on and you figure out from there.
Except
do you play the second half or something like that?
They're kind of out late, though.
Exactly. So, good point there, Jeff.
Yeah.
And you want to, obviously, Minnesota is the 1 seed. That's the team you really want to avoid, ironically, who you play tonight.
Yeah.
But, you can't get – what did Pat say? You can get to the 6, right, if Golden State loses? Is that what he was saying?
Yeah, but to Jeff's point, all the teams around you, Golden State, Seattle.
Well, there's more games Wednesday, Thursday, too.
Yeah.
The Fever end the regular season earlier.
Which I'm sure they're grateful for.
Yep. And they'll have assistant coach Caitlin Clark there, cheering them on.
So yeah, it's tough for her, and I definitely want to make light of the
go,
situation. But
she can go surgery at all?
Nobody said that word.
Have we seen that announcement yet?
You start looking at it. I don't know.
Because again, let's say the Fever would have made a run to, or do make a run to October. They already ruled Caitlin Clark out for the year.
Yeah.
It's not like they said, hey, she's going to be out for another 2 weeks. So, I just didn't know if we saw anything on that news.
Just a lot of interlock PTSD. Not that there's anything like that happening, I don't think, but just the murkiness of the injury, how it just kind of lingered and went on and on and on.
It's tough.
Yeah. All right, so that's what most people will be doing later on tonight. I don't know. I may peek at that U.S. men's national team friendly, but I probably won't be paying attention to most.
Telling ghost stories.
Yeah.
You guys
playing
telephone. High School Musical.
Making s'mores.
Hoping Truth or Dare stays in the basement.
James knows me better than anybody. I'll be going to sleep by 9:30. You know that, James.
And Grant, he'll be up by 9:30.
Looks like Carmel PD is going to be working for a change.